Okay, it is 5 o'clock. Are we ready to go? All right.
That's up to you.
Good evening. I'll call this meeting to order. And for the record, my name is Huang Tran, Chair of this committee. On my right is Council Member Paul McDaniel, a member of the committee. On my left is Council Member Jack Dovey, another member of the committee. And we have Council President Linda Kochma, Jack Walsh, also known as Mr. JW, High-End Hotel. And we have Council Member Susan Honda. Do we have Lydia on the line? No? Okay, thank you. All right, public comments, do we have any?
We have no public comment.
Okay, thank you. We are moving on to committee business. The first item for today is item A, approval of summary minutes for July 2024.
Move adoption.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. This matter passed 3-0. Now we are moving on to item B. This is a little bit unusual, but we need to do this. And that is approval of the revised minutes for October 25 of 2022. Well, 3 years ago.
I move adoption.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, can I ask a question on this one?
Yes, sir.
Why was that not included in the minutes originally?
We don't know. It was brought to our attention by city clerk. They asked us to revise this. We said, sure, it was easy.
Okay, all right, and I'd imagine that's the same for the next item. All right, thank you.
This is an oversight. All right, we are moving on to item C, approval of the revised minute for October 25, 2023. Do we have motion?
I move to approve minutes from April 25th, 2023.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. This matter passed 3-0. Okay, we took care of that. Now we are moving on to item D, Farmers Market Program, May, August updates. Bill?
Greetings. I'm trying to find my, here it is. Well, committee chair, council president, committee members, and other council members, I'm here to do the promised financial update for the farmers market with Steve's help from May through August. And as I wrote you a couple weeks ago, and this is a little bit more updated, income and expenses are where we were budgeted. So we're talking labor, we're talking booth rentals. So we are on the target to break even as budgeted. That's including additional equipment that we budgeted for, repairs, et cetera. And then paid vendor attendance. This is paid vendors. I know you see more tents. And part of that is because vendors sometimes will have 2 or 3 tents, and then of course there's 1 or 2 nonprofits. We're at 37 per week, which is an increase from budget. And so as of August 31, total vendor sales for the first 17 weeks is 403,000, an average of 23,000 per week. And booth and rental commissions for the period is 52,216, a weekly average of 3,000, which is 25.50 ahead of budget per week. Now, next week is a very critical thing with making this budget break even, and that's the Taste of Federal Way. And advanced ticket sales are going very well from the nonprofits. As you know, they benefit local nonprofits, and you've all seen this in the newspaper. And there's these nonprofits which are selling tickets, and they sell 50, and they get roughly a third of the ticket. The restaurant gets a third for food cost, and the rest goes towards not only the expenses, but also to help get the budget to break even. So as of this PowerPoint, we're at 392. Thanks to the council president, we're up to 394. as of this moment. So thank you. And that's on target. And we are basically targeting with the restaurant 700 attendees. So that'll get us to where we want to land. And as it says, there'll also be tickets sold for the day of the event. Now, as far as food benefits go, and this was in your memo, and this is updated, as of August 31 from May 10th, $54,000 or an average of $3,400 a week is going towards food benefits. And this now starting to include a few weeks of the senior food benefits approved by the mayor and the council. And here's the outline of the programs. Of course, you've got EBT, WIC, Supplemental Nutrition Program, Healthy Kids, Healthy Seniors, and of course, those are just growing with what you all allocated. And but as you can see, WIC is really huge. Now, as you saw in your email at 3:30, we have an update. There's actually a second update I'm trying to get on this, and this one we're looking at very carefully. But we are now hearing that the Special Nutritional Program, Farmers Market, FMNP, which is WIC, will end statewide September 30th versus October 31st. And so what's happening is this is federal funding, and apparently the money went more quickly than was thought, because people are getting their benefits and everything. So, and there's a typo there, sorry about that. So we will be there ending on September 30th. Now, what we've been told is there's another program there called the CVP, the Cash Value Benefit, and apparently they get to use that program too, people who are on food assistance. And there is the hope that that will sort of fill the gap. But the way I look at it is, and this is why I'm going to explore it for you more, because this information is, as of today, they were probably using both. And so we have to figure out a way to get people through October. And maybe there's other ways to do this. So, but as this information evolves, we'll keep you informed, because this could very much have an impact on, I counted just roughly, off of our finances with our financials with Steve. And right as of last week, there were 11 vendors who usually get this kind of WIC, and it's part of their income piece. And it's probably anywhere from 15 to 25%. But then they're also taking advantage of these other food programs too. But it could have an impact on them. And of course, the big impact in our hearts is for the people who won't be getting those food benefits. So it's a great thing that this council and the mayor recommended the increase from to the seniors at least. But we'll keep you informed on that situation. So, and as I said before, these results for food benefits are because of what you all did and what you all increased. So, and of course, you all have been great about congratulating our two market managers, and you all know that the departments have all been pulling together to make this happen. So while we're there, I got a good FYI of the email and what could have been talked about more. And that's the fact that you all see that all the departments in this city are pulling together to make this work. Okay? As Steve will attest to, we're making sure financially it is, down to the penny. And every Monday afternoon, we have a counting meeting with the market managers and make sure that everything gets allocated to all the vendors, to the city. We have had an incredible investment of time by IT. We've had a great, incredible investment by Parks. But Parks, as John will attest, is staying within budget with their temps. But as you know, there's my time helping to supervise, there's John's time, there's Carol's time. There's a lot of people in this organization, EJ and their team, who are pulling to make this thing happen. And so that will get acknowledged next year. However, when you look at all the other events that we do that are subsidized, like Community Festival, 4th of July, there's a lot of things we do where we say this is the cost of what needs to be done, and then we all pull in there above that cost to make it all happen. But we're trying to land, I believe we're going to land this at break even, and then there's the indirect costs, but we will make sure that's worth it to us next year. So as you see here, our review of the year to date and at October FedRAC will look at the way we've been talking about streamlining this operation. IT has got a great point-of-sale system that we're ready to implement, where we won't need, well, the only tokens we'll need are the federal tokens for one part of food support. Vendors will have the way to get their money electronically. There won't be this huge reconciliation. People will just check in. People will register in advance. We'll be moving beyond, and this is a compliment, the family cigar box into the way city runs the finances and the way we can make things even more efficient. So there's less effort percent, especially as we contemplate moving the farmer's market and making it even more viable. But promotion, the Mirror has done a sponsorship. We have basically held the line, and we should be where we should be. The big factor is it's not going to rain on Saturday, so we should get to that 700, and that's a big piece of it as well, too. But in retrospect, there's a lot going on. Tomorrow, we're going to be, reconciling a lot with the nonprofits, restaurants, and everything. But it would have been nice to give you a lot more, hard spreadsheeted figures that Steve and I have. But that's what we're going to do in October. But I'm very encouraged with where we're at and all the help that's been there. But as you evaluate where we're going next year, you're going to have to look at everything. So, any questions?
I do.
Thank you, Bill. Go ahead,
Oh,
Susan.
thank you. First of all, I want to thank you for all you've done for the market, because I think without you doing it, we wouldn't have had a market this year.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you for talking about staff, because I was going to ask how, how we add staff into how the market's doing, and it has to be something that we account for when we say we break even or we don't break even at the end of the year. And I'm not saying that we don't need to do the market next year if that's what the decision of the city is, because I want someone to do a farmer's market. But I think we have to be really honest about how many staff we have there and what the staff is costing to be there. It's like any other thing we do in the city. I bring up staff a lot in emails, because we don't account for staff in the way that I would like to see staff time accounted for. Because anytime we have a project that happens or an event, we have staff, but it's not ever discussed what the staff hours are and how those impact what the cost of the event or the project is.
I agree.
So, thank you.
I agree. That's why we're going to lay it out, saying, okay, here's the staffing that was used by finance to support the program. Here next year is how we're going to reduce that, and then you can decide what to do about that. Granted, I'm on community service, so I work all the time, so you don't have to worry about my extra time. No, just kidding. But there are lots of operations that have really anteed in to make this work, and a lot of it was out of heart. But yes, all those pieces are going to be there for you. But the good news is what we allocated as far as temporary employees, Carla, Vicky, those are all on target. And I'm trying to get donuts pretty close to break even. I'm getting close on donuts. So.
So for the donuts, that's an interesting question, because I've asked the donut guy, Carla's son,
Yes.
how many donuts he sells, and he gave me a number, but he wasn't completely sure. And I'm wondering if that's something that's cost effective to have there.
I have it on a spreadsheet.
Okay.
And what we did was we transitioned from him and the other employee, because the volume wasn't there to support 2 employees. In fact, I had 2 volunteers helping. In the beginning, one was my daughter, and then one day I had the observations of a total quality management guru, Councilmember Dovey. And so we came up with some ideas, and so now one of the nonprofits that's selling next door is now also selling the donuts and making the donuts. And so production has gone up because they're there. Sales have gone up. It's a 9 to 3. And we basically are now getting our booth fee and our percentage out of it, donuts, like it's its own vendor thing versus a subsidy. So right now, depending on weather and everything, I'm getting close to getting it to land even. But next year,
Okay.
we'd figure out a way to have a nonprofit. It's like there was a great idea about bringing corn in, and fortunately, the popcorn people brought corn in, but let's bring in a corn roast it and have nonprofit do it, and let nonprofits, the scouts, and other people do it too. The donuts get a little bit too dangerous, so that's why
Right.
we went to the people who are grilling the meat, which is New Beginnings Church, so.
Okay. Well, I appreciate all you do for the market. And
Well, thank you.
I would say on Saturday, the senior vouchers were gone in 10 minutes,
And,
which is,
and you and I have some
amazing.
tears in their eyes
Yeah.
as that happens.
yeah. And then we have to say no to a lot of people, so, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Dolly?
Yeah, I guess my question is with this voucher program ceasing, and as Councilmember Honda just talked about, how people look forward to getting those, should we be looking at not being open in October? I mean, if 20 to 25% of the revenue of those are going to the farmers, and they're going to take a hit because they're not going to be any, because we don't have the money to fund it, I don't think, in our budget anywhere, would we be better at looking at a close down sometime in the first part of October instead of going the whole month and then having everybody pull out and we don't have a farmer's market like we do now? And so
Well-
that's just a question.
Well, as someone once said, let the word go forth from this time and place. The word has gone forth about these benefit changes. And of course, this is farmers market statewide are now looking at this. So the farmers are also looking at that as well, too. Now, I was just talking to Carla after you and I and Linda were just talking before, just informally. And apparently, this may not affect next year as much, even though there's going to be a change in the SNAP where you put in and you get, you double the money. But I would say, based on the word getting out, we're gonna just find out where everybody is in the next week. And then, and like you said, we're gonna take a hard look at what to do with first, second, third week in October. Because if the farmers aren't there, people can't get their senior benefits or these other benefits. So yeah, I'm as good as my word, so.
Mr. Wash?
First, I just wanted to thank you for the work that you've put into it. I mean, as Susan said, without the work that you've done, we wouldn't have a farmer's market this year.
Thank you.
And great job, and great job with all of the staff, all of the departments. It's a great team effort. I'm glad that you're starting to fill up the donut hole.
Yes.
And so, anyway, I think that looking to next year, with the time of the staff that's in it, if we can, with that time of all the city hall staff, I doubt if we can make it break even in that sense. But I think that the benefit for the community is certainly worth part of that. And we just need to weigh how much of time the city hall staff puts on into it during the week,
Well,
and measure the benefit that way. But I mean, it's certainly a benefit to the community. And it's just like the PAC, I mean, realistically, we don't expect to turn a profit on the PAC, but we want to subsidize it as little as possible. With the farmer's market, if we can subsidize it as little as possible, I think that would be the goal.
So we'll take a real hard look at those. But the goal here was, with the mayor too, let's get it to break even so there's more money for the finance classes.
Yes, absolutely.
Which I think we just hit 24 for Thursday, which is a little commercial there for it, so anyway.
Let me go to Paul McDaniel first, and then go back to Mr. Dovey.
Could you back it up one slide, please, Bill?
Please.
Okay, and then leave it on this one. So I just want to make sure, so we got our preliminary numbers today, but you're saying in October is when you're going to actually provide us with a more detailed breakdown of the...
Well, I gave you the details as of the end of August. And then we're going to look at September and then give you a photograph of where we are in October. And then you'll know where we are budgeted-wise. But then also, we'll take a look at, okay, what other teams were contributing? What was the effort percent from people who are already getting paid elsewhere contributing this to this effort? Finance, IT,
Yeah.
you know,
Everybody listed at the bottom.
parks. Yeah.
All right, so my question's gonna be on that one, is when you provide us the update in October, is that gonna be a year-to-date, or is it strictly gonna be the
Oh,
last?
year-to-date.
Year-to-date, okay.
Absolutely,
And that year-to-date, will it be in the same structure of this, or will it
No,
be?
no, no, they're going to be spreadsheeted.
Okay,
No, my goal was to get it spreadsheeted for you today, and I just, you know.
life happens.
So I take the taste of it away.
Gotcha. When you break that out, and this is, I've heard the other ones, I just want to verify, so these staff supports from these locations, these will be on the Excel spreadsheet with some estimated numbers of.
That'll be a section below. So you'll see the budget that you approved and how it performed, and then below will be, here are the departments that contributed.
When it says here are the departments distributed, is it gonna be text, or is it gonna be like, these are how many hours we estimate from each
It'll be
department?
hours, and, yeah, hours, and if we can put dollars to it, that'd be great.
Okay,
So-
yeah, because like the other council members have said, I'd like to have an accurate, whether we make money, lose money, or break even, and in my mind, it's not the point. It's more to get the accurate, to understand what the heck we're actually doing and where we're at, so we do make those changes. So as long as we have accuracy and all of the staff to support this going into is listed on there, I'm almost secondary to what the actual number is gonna be, if it's, a loss or not. And to me, that's secondary to actually getting a true understanding of where we sit with this. And knowing that we'll probably be moving that location in the next year or two to closer to the PAC, I think that's gonna be the biggest benefit we can have, is getting it out in the public, in a more public area, and a location that's gonna stay a little bit longer than 2 to 3 years. So when you bring them in October, please bring the most accurate numbers as possible, whether they're good or bad. That's secondary in our mind.
Absolutely.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you
We'll
for
do
your
it,
work.
we'll do it.
Mr. Dolly?
Because the credibility of this is, we want this thing to last, and so we're gonna make sure the affirmation is based on what's really going on.
I guess what comment I wanted to make is when you talk about the staff and what they did, if we didn't have any overtime on these staff people during this time, then I don't look at it as it cost us, because they're doing the job of the city. It'd be nice to know how many hours each person put in so we can put a number to it, but if we're paying people overtime because they're working 47 hours a week or whatever because they're spending time at the farmer's market, to me, that's a problem.
Yeah.
But if we're not overspending our hours, it's just something else we didn't get done, and that's what we do. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not gonna be the end of the world.
And it's just as valuable. Every percent of things that don't get done, like, I'm gonna be running around to 2 grocery stores tomorrow morning because the food drive's 12 days away, and I've got, 2
Yeah.
out of 3.
So anyway,
Yeah, it's about every percent, so I agree.
okay, thank you.
Councilmember Honda?
Thank you. I wanted to talk about October and the farmer's market. My husband and I have been involved for many years with the farmer's market. And there are some good Octobers and there are bad Octobers, because if it's raining, people don't come and vendors don't come. And if it's nice, we're gonna get some people, but not at all like we have in August or September. So there is the other farmers markets in the area closed down by September, and we're the only one that continues really through September and into October. One of the concerns I have this year with going into October is we generally have fewer farmers that come across the mountains because they don't have product to sell. And that's what these vouchers are for. It's for produce. And so I'm a little concerned about that because our seniors really need fresh food, and that's what they're getting there. But October, it's going to be pretty tight as to what they can get. And if the weather's bad, we may, I remember one Saturday in October, a couple of years ago, there was one farmer there. And we just need to expect that and have those expectations, and not expect that the market will look like it did last Saturday or next Saturday, because it'll look far different. Even if the weather is nice, it's still going to look different because it's October, and October runs into, when crafters go to churches and stuff and do bazaars, we run into that. So they're going inside and selling their stuff at those places. So we just need to have our expectations about what October is.
And that's how we built the October budget, too. So, but we want to have more farmers. We're trying to convince more farmers to be there, especially with the senior coupons, the youth coupons,
Yeah.
and the boost that you folks did for those programs.
Great, thank you, Bill, and thank you, council members, for good discussion on this topic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And don't forget to buy your ticket.
Okay, we now ready to move on to item E, tree service contract. John, welcome.
Thank you. I'll be right with you. Mine's right on the desktop.
Right there? That one.
No?
No?
Okay. It's on the desktop. Should be Palisades, acceptance, grant acceptance. Let me close this for a second. There it is. There you go. And then share it if you would.
Oh, there you go.
Share it. Is that sharing? Is that sharing now?
It's up there.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you for your patience. I'm technologically challenged at times. Thank you very much, Chair, Council President, and Council. I'm here subbing for George Richens this evening. I have two items in front of you. They'll be back to back. The first is our tree services contract, the one that's showing on the screen. Disregard. Sorry, I told you I was technically challenged, but Bill was kind enough to help. So our tree services contract, the policy question is, should the City Council authorize the award of a contract for tree services to Thundering Oak Enterprises as the lowest responsive bidder in the amount not to exceed $350,000 over a 3-year contract, 3-year term. And I'll give you a little background information on that. Financial impacts, the cost of the city for tree services is included within the approved budget under the Parks Department urban forestry budget. In accordance with the approved budget, the item is funded by the general fund. Upon completion of the tree services award, future costs will be due to ongoing costs associated with operations and maintenance. And for background information, on April 1st, 2025, City Council authorized Parks Department to solicit bids for on-call tree services. Upon completion of the bidding process, Thundering Oak Enterprises was found to be the lowest responsive bidder. The initial contract is for a 3-year term with an option of a 1-year extension. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, John. Mr. Dovey?
How many people bid?
2.
And how, I guess you had Hanson Tree Service and the other one? Is that what you're
And
talking
Thundering Oak. they got-
Thundering Oak? Was one of the bidders our existing tree person, or did they just go away?
Thundering Oak was our existing.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. McDaniel?
That pretty much answered my question. My question was going to be is if we've worked with these guys before, but it sounds like this is
Yeah.
a renewal of a contract with the same person then?
Yeah, they're fantastic, yeah.
How long have we worked with them?
A number of years, probably in excess of a decade.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Honda?
Thank you. So it's kind of hard to read this because on our iPads, it's going this way and not this way. But is one of the roles of this company to take down trees that are dead?
Yeah, dangerous trees. Not every dead tree is removed. If it's in a safe area with 0 targets, then often we won't take it down if there's absolutely no targets. If there's any target, a fence, a neighbor's house, a car, a road, a playground, anything that's a potential target for a falling tree to hurt people or property, then we would take it down. Most of the time, dead trees come down, but if they're in the middle of a grove with no accessibility to human beings and there's nothing it can fall on, then we're going to let nature take its course.
So if you drive into Celebration Park on the main driveway in, there's a few dead trees along that drive?
I believe those are going to be addressed fairly soon.
Okay.
You're absolutely correct. We've seen them.
And if you go over to Honruri, right outside where the little bathroom building is, there's a beautiful tree and half of it is green and half of it is a beautiful orange, but it's dead. And I know we have a lot of people that are going into that Honruri garden because it's so beautiful. And I'm just thinking maybe just because it would look better, maybe we could get that tree out of there.
We'll certainly have Thundering Oak take a look at it. We
It's not,
have an
it's not a
arborist.
huge tree. It's, it's one of those decorative trees, so it's not really huge. It's just,
We try to focus on the green part of that dead tree and part.
I think the orange color is amazingly beautiful, but
the
the
fall,
tree
you know?
is
Yeah,
dead.
there you go.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I don't see any other questions. May I have the motion, please?
I move to forward the proposed authorization of the tree service contract to the October 7th, 2025 consent agenda for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. This matter passes 3-0. Thank you. John, you have the next one.
Thank you very much again. Because I'm incredibly prepared, it's already sharing. So with that, the policy question is, should the city council accept the pathway paving project at Palisades Park as complete and release funds to asphalt patch systems for the work completed? And I can show you a little bit of what we've done, and we're very proud of the work. It is absolutely beautiful. And I was able to take my family out and enjoy the pathway. It is fantastic. There's a little bit of root heave demonstrated. That was throughout the park, much like it was at the former Alderbrook and now Kana Park. And at least one council member can attest to the danger of those root heaves, but I won't mention any names, Councilmember Walsh. So in fairness, it did jump up and grab him. So there was path damage, and today, this work was done thanks to some help, some cooperation with E.J. Walsh and the Public Works Department. They loaned us their equipment. We have good operators, and they helped us out too. So we leveled and rolled it, and now it is an absolute thing of beauty today. There is the before and after photos, and so we're incredibly happy. That's a very nice park. All of our parks are nice, but that one is one of my personal favorites. It's just beautiful, and it's a great park. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Paul?
Yeah, just out of curiosity, what is the time commitment to do that kind of task?
We were able to complete this one because it's not a complete path. We were able to complete this in under 2 weeks, probably closer to a week than even 2 weeks, thanks to the fact that we had qualified operators using equipment that we already owned, so we didn't have time to go rent it, bring it, and do that work. So it was a great example of cooperation between departments, and that's something that's going on every day, but this was an opportunity for me to call it out and thank Public Works and our people, and we had an opportunity to have some of our younger people learn how to do that work, because one of our supervisors, Gary Neefer, was a 25-year Public Works person who wanted a slight change in his career path and came to us. So he brought that expertise, all that paving expertise, to the Parks Department, which helps us because we have a lot of pathways that are asphalt. So we'll be able to go forward even if Gary decides to retire sometime in 20 years.
Gotcha. Hopefully. So just out of curiosity, with that said, how many more of these kind of paths do you think are out there? Is there a percentage or just a total number?
We have over 10 miles of asphalt trail, but that includes the BPA, which is a slightly different animal. It's much larger. We probably have a couple more miles, and this is a wild guess, so please don't hold me accountable for the number. Probably a couple miles of pathways throughout parks. Most of them are in pretty good shape. Alderbrook was the worst, now Kana, and now it's brand new. We replaced the entire thing, and it's gorgeous. And it'll be 30, 40 years before it needs to be done again. And we did a lot of root work around it to prevent root heave in the future. You can't completely eliminate it, but we can reduce it sharply by managing that on the front end. We cut all those roots out completely and removed them, so root heave will be less of a problem. Same here, wherever we did patching and wherever we could, we did the root work on the sides to make sure the roots don't. There's two problems with roots. You can have root heave on a healthy tree that's spreading its roots, and then you can have decay where you'll get sinking. So once you kill it, so we try to remove it early and get the whole root before we do the repaving.
Gotcha. And it sounds like because it's roots, it literally it takes years before it starts to show, and it just takes a few more years to get it fixed.
Yeah, hopefully we'll speed up that second part, yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Honda?
Thank you. So talking about the BPA trail, So there is one portion of it that I've asked about before. The root heave is very pronounced there, and you can't get away from it. I mean, you can't walk around it or put your bike around it. You have to go over these.
Which section of,
So it's a curve as you're coming into the aquatic center.
okay, so the second section?
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, I almost fell off my bike the other day because a person was running this way, and I was trying to avoid some of those. And anyway, I'm surprised someone hasn't gotten hurt there, because there's nowhere you have to walk on the trail. You have to walk through.
That might be a patch
It would
to make
be-
it safe.
Yeah, it would
for-
be a patch. It wouldn't be the whole thing. It would
Okay.
just be a patch.
I'll bring it up tomorrow.
But,
We have a
and I can meet you there if you want me to, but you
I
will
think
find
you
it.
described it pretty
Yeah.
clearly. It's close to the aquatic center at the
Yeah.
curve, so,
You will find it.
Okay.
So I'd appreciate that.
thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.
Mr. Dovey?
So, there's a question in my brain after you talk about this, $16,000. You've cleaned up this path, it looks great. Why does it cost us so much to build paths from scratch? I mean, you got asphalt, you got the machines, we want to extend a path somewhere, and it always is a fortune to expand them and to do them. Could we be doing some of these ourselves and getting them done quicker and not having to spend millions of dollars because we have some expertise now and some equipment and things like that?
Full transparency, I'm not a pathway asphalt expert. However, I do believe that a lot of the additional cost in creating a new one is you have to create a very solid base, like building a lesser but same concept as building a road, where you have to do a lot of work on the base. You have to import and export a lot of material. You have to do a lot of clearing. Often they're in heavily forested areas, and then you have to manage that root problem we just described on the front end. So there's a lot of labor and a lot of time.
Right.
And we just don't have that many people, and it's expensive, but it's something, at least keeping what we have in our inventory in top shape is priority one. And then always looking to expand as well when we can. And we look for economy of scale, such as when Public Works helped us out tremendously at Kana, because they helped us bid it, and we got some economy of scale in their bidding. They included the asphalt we needed for that park within their overlay bid, which was incredibly helpful. So we're always looking for ways to reduce those costs. But those are things, and there are some potential grants out there through different organizations for risk management where you can do maybe more repair than rebuild. But there's also other grants for paths and trails through WRPA and RCO, and we're always searching for those. So we would like to continue to increase that inventory.
Yeah. Well, it seems like we have a huge need for paths out by down on Highway 99 where we bought all that open space land, and we've been talking about it for years. And, you just talked about how inexpensive it was to overdo this. And at Seabrook, when I was out there the other day, they're just got two guys cutting through, making paths all day long. So, I don't know, maybe there's another way we could be more efficient and more cost-effective than the way we're doing it now.
Can definitely look into it. Thank you.
Great. I see no further questions.
I move to forward the proposed project acceptance to the October 7th, 2025 consent agenda for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Matter passed 3-0. Thank you. Thank you, John.
Thank you, committee. Appreciate it.
The next item is item G, Civic Plus Agreement for C-Click Fix, Eyes on Federal Way. Thomas, welcome.
Good evening, Chair Tran, committee and council members. I don't have a slideshow for you tonight, but figured I'd take off the black screen. So that way, and move this around here, so I'm looking at you guys. So this is a contract renewal, or a new contract for the C-Click Fix program by Civic Plus, which powers the Eyes on Federal Way system that we have. The Eyes on Federal Way system we've had it since 2020. It's hard to believe that I'm here before you again, asking for renewal for this. So it's for another 5 years. The good news is we're able to lock them into a 2% inflator now. Bad news is the cost of the product actually went up since the last time that we engaged with them. So in the staff report, you'll see that the base price is higher. The reason for that is they've simplified their SKUs. So they have a regular SeeClickFix request version and a pro version, and that's it. The good news for us is the request that we have that we will be going in with if committee and council approves this contract is it has unlimited users, where currently we have 120 capped. So the good news is we actually need some more users in the system, and so this will allow that. So that being said, the total cost to the city not to exceed amount would be $283,000 over 5 years. That's allowing for a small amount of contingency for variations in sales tax rates if that should increase over the next 5 years. And the other cool part about this is the system's actually being used. And so in the staff report, I included a little chart, and it had total amount of requests that we've had since 2020 when the system went live, and that's 34,827 requests. Of those, we've closed 32,129. So city staff is doing a lot of work. The top 7 request categories, we've got garbage in streets and sidewalks, nuisance vehicles, parking enforcement, abandoned shopping carts, illegal encampments, graffiti, junk and debris on private property, and traffic signs. The cool part that I did not know this before I pulled this data was that the abandoned shopping carts, for example, there's been 2,537 requests submitted since 2020, and all 2,537 have been closed. So we're really doing a good job on the shopping carts. And graffiti, there was only 2 open at that time. So 1,511 and 1,509 closed. So we're on top of the shopping carts and the graffiti big time. And those are a lot. They're easier, and we have a dedicated staff person for that. A lot of these other ones, sometimes there's a lot more complexity. But the chart was interesting. The data is interesting. Again, the system's being used largely by the app on either the App Store or Android Play Store. So I'm open for any questions, but before you is whether or not you want to enter into the 5-year agreement with SeeClickFix.
Thank you, Thomas.
You're welcome.
Emilio?
Thank you. My first question is on the users. Is the users an internal count, not an external, like people signing up and stuff?
Internal.
Okay, so we have an unlimited, so anybody in the city now can have access if needed?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. The second one is does it have pre-built reports?
Yeah, it does have some pre-built reports, reporting, and we've also, because it integrates with our GIS system, we're able to actually, and we've done this before, it just didn't really get a lot of traction. There wasn't a lot of interest, but we can create a custom dashboard that shows varying request categories and open rates and close rates, and we can do a lot of different things depending on how the data analysis works.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then does it give you a response time, like average response time?
It does.
Okay.
It does, yeah.
Do you happen to know what some of the average response times were?
I don't have that right off the top of my head.
Gotcha. The next question I have is, I find it sometimes an impediment, the way it's set up for a user to have to put in an account information to do it. Is that a mandatory requirement of the software, or is that something we set up?
No, so you can still submit anonymously in the system. The preferred way of submitting the request is obviously having an account. And the reason for that is, A, you can track the status of it very easily, and then we can also interact with you, and then we can have that discussion. There's a lot of requests that are open to the public. So that being said, it's not necessarily required, but it's highly preferred
Understood.
to have an account. Yes.
All right, I'll check into that one more and get back to you on that
Okay.
one.
And if you have questions, let me know.
I will. And then the next one I'm going to look at is so when we look at illegal encampments, you have 100 created, 1525 closed, 275 open.
Yeah.
Do we have a drop dead date, like if someone doesn't respond to something in a certain period of time, it disappears from the system or goes into an archived system or anything?
No.
So if this was put in 5 years ago, it would still show?
If it's still open, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Do
In
we-
fact, we've had a various, I guess there's been some people that have questioned whether or not we've gone through and deleted stuff out of the system. And we've gone back at least 3 or 4 times throughout the 5-year history and said, is there any way to do that? And they said, no, you can close it and you can archive it, but
you can't purge
it's
it.
still there. You can't delete anything.
Well, I like that actual
Yeah.
factor. Then I guess the question is, I'd like to have a follow-up on the illegal cameras. Of the 275, how many, if that's possible, how many are in the last, say, 3 to 6 months?
3 to 6
To get-
months.
Yeah, to get a realistic number, because I like how it shows everything, but being that's the highest number, I'm just curious if those are like from years ago that have just never been cleaned up in the system or not.
Yeah, and that is one of the downfalls of the system, is that when a request gets put in, if staff, goes out and does the work, right, but they don't actually go back and, close the loop on it and actually close it, then it does stay out there and is staled. So there are certain departments, Public Works is one of them, that goes through and kind of does a mass, kind of look at their open requests and goes through and closes things down on a somewhat regular basis. Other departments, it just depends on the workflow. So,
All right, appreciate it, thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
Mr. Chuck Wash and then Mr. Dovey.
Yeah, a couple of questions. Once again, with the closed request, I mean, if it isn't closed right away, I mean, can it be, those 275 illegal encampments, I'm sure that they've all been addressed, or nearly all of them have been addressed somewhere along the way. I mean, can they be closed way after the fact, or that they need to be closed within a certain time frame in order to be considered closed in the system?
No, the progress, it goes to request is created, and then it goes to acknowledged, and then it goes to in progress, and then it can go to closed, and then it goes to archived. So that's kind of the different steps of the process. So if something got opened, let's say in December 15th of 2020, and it's still open today for whatever reason, didn't get closed down, or maybe it's just a really complex problem with an encampment, I'm not sure. Regardless, if you want to close it today or tomorrow, you can do that in the system. And it will still just be, okay, now the system is closed. But the reason they stay open is so that way you can continue to track and see, okay, these are my open items. So, yeah, to go back and answer your question, you can close any open request in the system regardless of how long it's been open.
Okay, all right. It seems like the data would be better if, it actually got closed things that were
Yeah.
taken care of, so.
And for the most part, I mean, if you take a look at the whole system, 34,000 requests, and we've closed 32,000 of them, that's
Yeah,
significant.
Percentage-wise, yeah.
Yeah, percentage-wise, that's significant. There's been a lot of work been reported and a lot of work completed in the system. So yes, there is some stragglers. There's almost 2,700 requests that are open. But again, the varying categories and varying complexities of a lot of these issues, so.
Right. And second question, with shopping carts, since the shopping cart ordinance has been being enforced, has the shopping cart complaints level reduced, say, in the last 6 months or a year?
That's a good question. I'd have to go back and look at the data and see how it trends, if there's an average. We do, so every management team meeting on Monday with the mayor, the list of new requests is always submitted. And so we're seeing that there's been a slight dip in the amount of overall requests being submitted. Typically, we were seeing somewhere between 160 and 180 on a given week that have been created. That has lowered, I believe, to probably the low hundreds, 120, but it kind of ebbs and flows just depending on time of year is important as well. In the fall, you've got a lot of leaves falling, and so catch basins get clogged up, so people report that. In the windstorm, snow, getting streets cleared as well. So it does ebb and flow. But let me make a note of the shopping carts, and I can follow up with you is to see kind of maybe a trend line graph
All right.
for you.
All right, sounds great. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Mr. Bovee?
Yeah, where would the calls go if we didn't have this? I mean, right now, if somebody goes on their computer, their phone, and they put something in, but if we said, hey, the 200 and some odd thousand, we're gonna do something else with it, where would all these calls go, or how would it work?
It goes back to the distributed system that we had before, which was various departments had various ways to deal with things. So community development had their own, way of, whether it's a phone number or web, online web form. Public Works had their little setup. So, but nothing was cohesively tracked, and so this really provides a lot of visibility of the city. And again, like if I'd be happy if you wanted to take a closer look at the system, let me know and I can arrange for a meeting with you and take a look. So it would just kind of go back to what we were doing before, which was a varying different.
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting we go back to the way we were, I just wondering what the alternative is, and I guess with the way technology's changing and all that, is it a standard 5-year agreement, or do you do like 2 years and 3 renewals? I mean, telling somebody you got us for 5 years and, 5 months from now, somebody comes out with something that's half the price, and we have I mean, I'd rather take the risk that the prices, they've raised the price, than it's gonna go, I think it's gonna go down, it's not gonna go up, personally.
Well, I mean, the track record is that this software is going up in price.
Well, that's because we're all buying it and not saying no.
Amen.
So, it's a I've been before you on varying different items before committee and council, and we've looked at doing shorter term, and we've looked at doing longer terms. And there's been varying feedback from committee members, whether or not that's, they support it or they don't. The way that I look at it is you're not wrong. The fact is that the technology does change. However, the level of effort to take on a project to change the software to another vendor, even though it's software as a service, it is still integrated into not only going to be our new asset management system, CityWorks, but also our GIS system. And then we had to go through and set up all the categories and everything else. So there is a significant lift. It took us probably a good solid 6 to 8 months. There was one of my staff members was dedicated working on this project in 2020. So it's not something that we really want to pivot quickly on. But I do understand where you're coming from. So. But that being said, C-Click Fix, it's not, it's still widely used in our region. It's widely used in the United States. It is one of the significant. It's one of the better products out there, and it still remains today. Are there other competitors? Absolutely. And we did look at the top 3 contenders at the time when we implemented this, and so I still. While I don't care too much for Civic Plus and as a company as a whole, the product itself is actually really solid. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, follow-up questions. Real quick, just want to understand, so was the previous price tag $43,000 then?
So that was the renewal for last year. So
Okay.
from 24 to 25, that's where that year, because we had another 2% inflator locked in, so that's where that year left off.
Okay, and then pretty much it sounds like they're going to give us a discount on 1 year then?
Yeah.
And it goes back up plus
Correct.
the 2%?
Yeah, because the base price has gone up because it's that C-Click Fix request version. Now we get unlimited users. So they tried to do the best they could to sell it, but there's like, hey, for the year 1, we'll give you a break. So I think it's a
$9,377.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, do they not offer anything other than 5-year contracts, or is that what we offered, or is that what they just told us is the option?
We go year to year. I mean,
Okay.
it just depends.
What is the year-to-year difference, though? Is you still have the 2%. What is the advantage to doing a 5-year if they only give us 1 year of a benefit?
So remember, the whole thing is it's locked in 2% per year, right? So that's going to be the inflator. If we go year to year, if inflation comes up and they're like, oh, hey, we're gonna increase it 5% or we're gonna increase it 9%. We've had some contracts increase by like 20 to 25%. so this is a way to kind of mitigate that. We did the same thing with our Spillman Police software. We were able to get them to do 1% inflator. And so for Motorola, that's pretty significant. And
We
so
did
it's
a 10-year contract, didn't we, for that one?
we did a 5-year for that
Was
one.
it 5 for that one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So again, this thing is the same thing. So it's, yes, the total cost of the software increased. But again, they're like, oh, but we give you all these licenses, which would initially, the next bucket was about $10,000 for us to buy additional licenses because they sell them in buckets. So the next step is unlimited on our old SKUs. And
That's what they forced us into for a $10,000 increase.
pretty much. And so
Okay.
they just eliminated,
Sounds like it's a push. All
Yeah.
right. I get the game, I don't
It's
like
software
it.
companies.
Yeah, I get
Yeah.
it.
Thomas, I do have a questions. I'm looking at the list here. It said right now, we still have roughly almost 2,700 open requests, right?
Correct.
But then when I added up the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 requests that you listed here, it's come up to about 561 requests. So there are still about 2,100 requests floating out there. What are they?
So keep in mind, I don't remember the exact number of categories we have, but we have a lot of categories, abnormally amount of categories compared to a lot of our neighboring jurisdictions. And it was when we were looking at when we're bringing the system and doing the initial deployment, we worked with the departments on how they wanted to categorize things, and there's two schools of thought behind that. Number one is you have 5 or 6 or 7 categories, and then you have somebody manage it and like put as the request comes in. So you make it easy for the requester, so the public to just, well, it's street related or it's public safety related. I don't know, like some sort of generic, really generic request category. And then you have a person that sits there every day and then recategorizes them to another internal category, right? So then that way it goes to the right actual working group to get handled or taken care of. But for us, the list, when you use the app, the list is very easy to sort. And so if you see litter or garbage or graffiti or something like that, you start typing it and it filters the list. And so, yes, we have a lot of categories. I think it's over 30 categories. It's a lot. But it allows at that point of request submission to be put to the right spot, the right receiver, or so to the right working group or to the right, employee to take care of the problem. So we made it more complex based on the feedback that we got from the departments for their work groups. And so to kind of circle back to your question, this is 7 categories and there's over 30 categories. There might even be more. I just don't remember the exact total number. There could be even 60. There's a lot of categories. So that's where the additional, almost 2,100 requests are.
So is it possible that we double count somehow?
So the only way that we double count is if a request is submitted twice. So let's say, for example, you got person walking by and sees sees some graffiti, right? And they submit it. That gets put in the system. It's also geolocated, right? So it knows exactly where that piece of graffiti is. Person B walks by, they take a picture and they say, you know what, I'm gonna submit this. The system will say, hey, I see that there's already an open graffiti at this location. Is it still the same? The person has the opportunity to say, no, I still want to submit it. I still want to submit this request. And so if in that regard, we'll now have 2 requests for the same thing in the system.
Okay.
What the system allows us to do is tie those together. And so for the graffiti team, they can say, hey, I've got 2 requests on the system, and I'm just going to say this is a duplicate, and I'm going to link it back to the initial one. So there's only really one request in the system. This one kind of gets merged into a single request. So that's the only time that we have duplicates. And if people don't merge them, then they're double counted,
I
right?
see.
But if they do merge them, then they kind of become one.
Got it.
And again, the system tries to do the best it can to prevent that behavior from happening.
Okay. Thank you. Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. I'm on the Click Fix thing right now. And it's, you can register to get notices from the city. So the senior commission currently is working on how we can get notices out to seniors throughout the city. Is this, if you register here, is this where you get the updated notices from the city, like the thing that comes out on Monday,
No.
No?
Actually,
What notice, oops, just threw my phone. What notices do you get from, if you register here?
let me, without taking the time right now, I can follow back up with you on that
Could you?
one. I just,
Okay.
it depends on what part of the screen that you're looking at, because I think we did link it back to the city's website, but I would just need to double.
It just has a little octopus and register for notices. It says, stay updated on all the most important information and events. Register or sign in to see the notices. If you could, if we could discuss it, I'd like to know if this could help us.
Okay,
With-
yeah, let me see, because I know that I'm pretty sure we linked this back to our, now I'm drawing a blank, our constant contact
Oh, okay.
for the city. I'm pretty sure that's the case, but I just need to verify that that's the same thing that you're looking at.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, see no other questions. May I have a motion, please?
Easy. Yeah, I got you covered. It's big picture, too. I move to forward the proposed 5-year agreement with Civic Plus for C-Click Fix to the October 7th, 2025 City Council consent agenda for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. This matter passes 3-0. Thank you,
All right,
Thomas.
thank you.
Okay, we are moving on to item H, Economic Development Program Update. Director Neal, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair and Committee. I'm going to be providing an update this evening on a number of different programs. This is informational only. There is no policy question associated with this presentation. So tonight, we'll include a program update from Imagine Institute for the childcare program that was to start small in-home childcare businesses. So we've got Carly here tonight to provide that. And then we'll also be getting an update from the team at the SBDC at Highline Community College for the digital literacy program and some of the other ongoing programs that SBDC provides for us. And then after that, I will be reviewing some of the other programs and providing an update on allocations. So with that, I'm going to bring up Carly and let her give her presentation. So you can either use the arrow or click.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you. Nice to see all of you again. I was here probably about 6 months ago when we were getting ready to start this program within the city of Federal Way. My name is Carly Meek, and I'm from the Imagine Institute. I am the director of Imagine U, and with our contract with the city of Federal Way, we opened 3 new licensed family childcares. This was all within extreme childcare desert accesses. And with these 3 programs opening, this is serving approximately 30 children once they get out of their initial license. So between the months of September through June, we had them participate in our peer mentorship program. And during this program, they went through an 8-month-long course. They were matched with a experienced family child care provider within the city. They had on-the-job training that was paid. roughly about 480 hours that they completed. They did comprehensive business plans as well as were assisted in preparing their homes for high-quality learning environment to get licensed through DCYF. So like I said, with these businesses, the first 6 months, they are typically licensed for 6 children. After those 6 months is when their initial license is up, and they average anywhere from 10 to 12 children. So that is roughly 30 spots within the city. All of these providers receive a $4,000 incentive, and the city of Federal Way also granted them an additional $1,000. So they received $5,000 once they were licensed, and they were serving a child on subsidy. So these businesses, I know one of the questions we had talked about last time, these businesses are their own. We do not have anything to do with them. So it's up to them on how their pay scale is, what types of subsidy they offer, and any of those individual business practices. Typically, they set this up as an LLC. They also have their choice on how they're going to operate. Some are open 24 hours, some are full-time, part-time, school age only, preschool. So again, it's all up to them on what the owner wants to do with the program. So on the left here, this is where within the city limits our 3 current graduates are that opened their new childcare businesses, where all of the yellow targets are. We currently have a wait list in Federal Way. This wait list here is going to show where these current 14 people are that have currently started their prerequisites with us, that they are wanting to open their own businesses. So there's 27 people that we have on the wait list in the city. 14 of them have already started those prereqs and are in the process of going through getting ready to start the program. Based on what our current attrition rates have been, we believe that 9 of them will definitely be successful in opening their businesses in the time frame that we give them and find a child on subsidy. So for a future investment within the organization, in order to get all 9 of them fully funded, it would be $243,000 to be able to have these businesses up and operating. So the breakdown of that cost, each one of these programs is a $27,000 investment, and this is how it's broken down. $9,000 of it is direct awards. So like I said previously, $5,000 of that goes right back to the intern who opened the business, and they reinvest that into their program. And $4,000 of that goes towards their mentor who helped them through the program. $7,200 of it is direct payments that goes to the intern for their on-the-job learning that they do up to 20 hours a month with their mentor, and the mentor receives a payment as well for observing and mentoring the intern. It costs roughly $6,100 to be able to do the outreach and recruitment, the onboarding, the training, and all of the technical assistance to be able to continue with these cohorts. So within our cohort, during the 8-month program, those interns meet online virtually with another group, with a group of interns who then leads them through all of their trainings, and they meet weekly for 2 hours. And it's roughly $4,600 for us to be able to evaluate the program, continue doing refinement on it, and all of our administrative costs. So when you look at some of the return on investments, when you look at high quality childcare, roughly strong returns on a high quality childcare program is $4 to $9 for every $1 invested. And when you're investing like this within the community, this is going to be able to help parents to be able to not miss work, to be able to have their children receive high quality care where they're learning and building the critical skills that they need to be able to be ready for school, to be able to have healthy support in their brain development. And when children do better in school and are in a great early learning program, This is where we're going to see that their graduation rates increase, where they are going to be more successful adults. They're going to need less assistance from the government, committing less crimes throughout their entire lives. Overall is improved through quality early learning. And that is all I have for you tonight. Do you guys have any questions about what we have done with our current contract and possibly any future ones that you'd like to invest in?
Thank you, Carly. Councilmember Palm Daniel?
Thank you. Just a couple quick questions. You're one of the programs I actually thought has the best potential from that we've supported with the ARPA funds and through economic development. My first couple questions, mayors might have to answer. The 3 that you guys have already gone through the program that was through the original program, how many of them are open, and are they currently having children? Do they currently have the whole program going? If so, can you give us any detail? I don't need the names, just some information about if they're open and what's going on.
Yeah, so all 3 of them are open and currently operating. They are all at full capacity and have a waiting list.
Already? Did they hit, like, when we were talking about this, the numbers were between 12 and 15,000 a month was what the base, what the basic understanding I had was. Are they currently able to hit those numbers?
I do not talk to them about their financial, but from being an experienced family child care provider myself, if they have those children enrolled and they're full-time, I would say yes.
Okay. So an investment of about $30,000 pretty much is the cost to get one of those going, and if they're generating that one, that's probably one of the best things we've seen. The second question I have, in the slideshow, you pretty much, it sounds like when people decide to try this out, they become is it intern's the proper term?
Yes.
When you become an intern, they're actually paid interns. There is some funds that are actually paid to them while they're in the program. How do you guys keep scams or those kind of scenarios out of it, since there is a payment actually going out to somebody who may or may not open up a child care facility in the end of this?
So and that's where the attrition comes in. So there is, at times people will get into this and not realize the time commitment that it is, or the biggest issue that we have seen is housing has fallen through. We haven't seen that issue in Federal Way, but other counties it has been more difficult, that either their landlord does not approve of them to have the child care in the house once they've started the program, or various things can come up. But we do have a team that does do spot checks, and we reach out. We have a lot of communication with our interns, with our mentors. They have to fill out an actual timesheet to get paid. And so those payments go to them every month, and they work 20 hours a month in the mentors program. So we do have very close relationships with all of these people.
I mean, if need be, you guys weed out anything that does not fit your guys' perfect picture.
Yes, yes. And there's a lot of work that they have to do before they're even accepted into the program. So, for example, the ones that I was saying that are the 14 that have already started in the city of Federal Way that are wanting to do prereqs, there's a lot of things that they have to go through that they don't get paid for to even be able to start.
Gotcha. And the final question is, are you guys, is your guys' business design model designed so that cities pay in, or do you guys have additional funding that we're just happy to help out so that we can get more in our city? How does that work out for you guys?
Yeah, so we do have funding from DCYF. So we have contracts through there, and then we have also had private donors, and we also have several different contracts with cities. So currently, we have a contract with the city of SeaTac, city of Berrien, Whatcom County, city of Seattle. So there is a lot of different municipalities that are realizing that they need more assistance within their specific area, because the DCYF one covers across the entire state.
I just, like I said, I think this is one of the best ones we've seen. I appreciate what you guys are doing, so thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Mr. Dovey?
Yeah, how do you recruit the people?
So various ways, word of mouth, social media. We have done postcards out to cities. We have gone to several different local farmers markets. We have been attending in the city of SeaTac. We've gone twice a month to their farmers markets for the last 4 months. We do a lot of the large community events. We will go and table at those as a vendor. We most recently just did a large billboard up in Whatcom County on the side of the road. So there's a lot of different ways that we recruit.
And do you You teach them how to run a successful daycare. How involved do you get in teaching them how to pay their taxes and making sure that they're legal with all the state laws and the federal taxes and how to run a business, other than just, I know you're experts in childcare, I get that, but what about the rest of the pieces?
Yep, all of that is encompassed within our program. So they do a business plan that teaches them how to budget, how to do marketing and branding for their program, how to do record keeping and taxes, how to write all of their contracts and policies for their employees as well as their parents and families to follow. So yes, we encompass all of that. And then we have a lot of ongoing assistance in our other programs. So once they graduate out of Imagine U, we don't just leave them to fend for themselves. We have ongoing programs that they can then enroll in and get ongoing assistance to sustain their business.
Thank you.
Councilmember Honda?
Thank you. So I have a question, and then I have a question from Councilmember Asafa Dawson. So the 14 potential providers, are you going to be able to work with all 14 if they meet your criteria?
Correct, yes.
And so the program's what, 8 months, so you're still maybe a year out from having them ready to be providers?
We would be able to start them as soon as possible. We're always looking for funding to be able to get them in the program and get them going through. But yes, it would be roughly 8 months. We do have some people that have a lot of experience in childcare already, whether they have worked for a center, the school district, another provider. And so a lot of them that have experience, if they want to fast track, that is another option. So there is some people we have had go through the program and they're done in 3 months.
Oh, cool.
So it really just kind of depends. I mean, they can go at their own pace and work ahead. Some of them choose to do that, but then they still want to make sure that they have all of the training that we offer, so they still will come to class and be able to do that. But their business could already be potentially up and running.
Do you know how many daycares we actually need in Federal Way? I mean, we've got 14 potential new ones. How many more do we need?
Well, that's a hard question to answer. I would say that you definitely could probably do at least 30. Because as fast as we are opening them, there's also some people that shut down. Not people that we work with, because our open rate, so we started back in 2017, and our open rate for everybody that we have helped, which is over 800 businesses open in the state of Washington, 86% of those businesses are still open. And typically, small businesses do not last. I think that rate is about 40%.
So, Councilmember Asafa Dawson is on Zoom, but not as a panelist, so she sent a question to me.
Okay.
She wants to know if you help the providers with grant writing.
We have another department that helps with grant writing, but yes, we do.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. The Imagine Institute overall, my specific department doesn't do that, but we can definitely direct them to the right place.
And then she added, such as grants for upgrades.
Yeah, so there's different grants that come out, several of them through DCYF, and our TA department usually helps with those grants. We also have a grant writer that is one of our specialists that people can get assistance through our shared services department.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yeah, I have one follow-up question. Does your guys' institution have a buyer's group or anything where they can do bulk purchases for either insurance, diapers, or whatever the companies need?
I'm sorry, say that one more time?
Do you guys have a buyer's group? Well, since you guys have such a large group of people in the same industry, where you guys can actually negotiate better deals for either insurance or diapers or anything like that?
Not diapers. Typically, all parents supply that for their children. But through our shared services group, we do have some special discounts that we have received. For instance, through QuickBooks, through Brightwheel, through Lakeshore Learning. I was like, what is that name of that childcare place in Seattle? Lakeshore Learning. So there is a lot of different businesses that have partnered with us that will give discounts to providers.
All right, that was it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jack, you have a question? Okay, just want to make sure. All right. Any more questions for Carly? No?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
So next up, we will have our team from Highline College and the Small Business Development Center. So Rich Shockley and Andrew Powers. You can either sit or
Good evening. So our businesses are now out of the summer mindset and onto back in business. So we're seeing a lot of requests. It happens every year. School starts and everybody says, okay, got to get back to work. So that's kind of what we're working with right now. Today, I just wanted to share, just to kind of review some of the work that we do. We'll share a little bit of our highlights year to date, and then I'd like Andrew to share a little bit about the digital literacy program. But again, I'd like to remind people we're different than a consultant. A consultant is going to come in and say, here's your price, here's what we're going to do, and then they do the work. And our role is to come alongside a business and say, what do you want to accomplish? How do we get there together? They do the heavy lifting, and we're there to do some lifting as well. And it's provided at no cost through our partnership with some of the federal funds and cities and other funding programs. But this is the kind of work that we do. We provide the no-cost, one-on-one advising, spend quite a bit of time on focusing on financials, everything from initial budgets to building financial packages, to manage their business, to go for funding with a bank. We help them with strategic planning, and that covers really all the sectors in a business. Loan packaging, I mentioned. We're seeing a lot more buy-sell. We're not licensed to list a business or be a broker. We're not licensed to provide them a valuation, but we see a lot of them, and we can provide them an assessment through some tools that we have. So we're seeing a lot of that right now. I probably have had 4 or 5 just in the last 6 months or so. We have a financial class called Profit Mastery, which is for established businesses, and that is a program that we actually charge a fee for, but it's an excellent program. It's for an established business looking to understand how to run their business by using their financials. And we have a research group that's provided with our funding, and we provide secondary research for businesses, things like saturation studies, demographics, to try to help them understand how to make decisions. And then we like to leverage the statewide network. We have about 40 certified business advisors. We're encouraged to leverage one another's expertise, and we often will call another business advisor in to help us out. A couple that we use quite often in our center, there's one of our advisors has a strong expertise in leasing. And so we'll often bring him in to help evaluate leases, help a business when they're in trouble with a lease. So that's one of the resources I use quite a bit. Our international trade specialists, we can bring them in. We have a couple CPAs, although we don't provide tax or legal work. We do have some pretty good depth when it comes to evaluating financials. So we're encouraged to leverage that expertise. And then finally, we're doing quite a bit of startup. Every time we see anxiety or in the marketplace or layoffs, we see a real spike in startups, and we're seeing that today. Our model is just what I described. We really go in and say, what are you trying to accomplish? We try to build a strategy of how we get there together. We lay out options. We try to talk them out of business if they aren't going to be successful in business. That's really the purpose of a plan in my mind. And then it's up to them to do the work. We're here to coach them and teach them how to do the work and not do it for them, so that when we step out, they can carry on. And our businesses typically are not we have a few of them that are one-time, but many of the businesses we work with, we might work with them for a period of time, solve a problem or take advantage of an opportunity. They'll go away, they'll reach out a few years later. Doing this for a number of years, I have a number of businesses that I've worked with for 10 or 12 years, just off and on. And that's, so it's a great resource for them. It's good for us. They refer a lot of businesses to us if we're able to help them be successful as well. Some of the numbers that we have year to date, we've had about just over 300 client meetings year to date. We've served 69 unique clients here in Federal Way. and we've delivered 511 hours of service. That's resulted in 10 full-time jobs created and 25 part-time jobs. And so far this year, the capital investment, this would be through investment from the business owner, it would be loans, and there's a few grants listed in here. It's just over 2.7 million. So that's where we are year to date. Now I'd like to really switch off and let Andrew share a little bit about the digital literacy program, how we've used that, and then we can come back and answer questions, however, with anything you might have. Andrew?
Thank you. Good evening, council members. Thank you for having me. And you might have noticed a bit of change. But this is just a quick little 30-second video as a trailer for the digital literacy workshop. So I'm going to play this real quick. And one more click.
Ready to elevate your business? Join Andrew Powers' Google and AI for Business workshop series. Learn to easily build professional websites with Google Sites. No coding skills needed. Showcase your services effortlessly. Just drag and drop your content into a live site. Instantly generate persuasive descriptions and testimonials with ChatGPT. Create realistic customer images with AI tools like Midjourney, perfect for testimonials. Wrap it up with a custom QR code for instant engagement. Sign up for the workshop today.
All right, so very quick, 30-second trailer. Thank you for watching that. But essentially, that's one of the workshops that we put on for our Federal Way location at the Federal Way Hub, and we actually did it twice to finish off this digital literacy thing that we were focused on and teaching. One of the biggest accomplishments from that was afterwards, a Federal Way business that wasn't able to show up to the class was still able to teach them how to do certain things like create their website using AI, contact and communicate through emails and create copywriting using AI as well. And they ended up going into a UW business competition, used those skills to win third place, and raised over $12,500. And now they're part of the UW Accelerator. So that's a Federal Way client I can present. But in general, we've been utilizing the same digital literacy AI workshops and teachings throughout the whole, year. It's been a year. So a lot of what was being presented in that video, there's actually a 1-hour video, shared it, but the thing that I've actually learned from that is, and the class, was that, what'd they say? 2 of the guests said it was like drinking water from a fire hose. So I'm in the process of cutting up those into short little 5-minute versions that can be more digestible. So that's a little brief. I'm talking really fast. So opening up to questions, just like Rich was talking about. Thank you.
Mr. Robert Daniel.
Yeah, I think you mentioned one of them. I was going to ask you what the takeaways were from it. Other than the, like you said, probably the learning curve for quite a few people on the takeaways. What kind of changes did you think would be useful in the next version? And do you think it had enough of a bite with people that there is a future need that you guys feel that this will fit somewhat for?
I can tell you, just like I said before, the takeaway was it was like drinking from a fire hose, and a lot of the suggestion was if we could have seen what we were coming in beforehand, the class would have been full because they would have known the pieces and usefulness. So cutting it up into short 5-minute videos and sending it out was essentially a fear that they wouldn't come to class. But now that I know it's a lot of information to take in one time, cutting it up is more of like this, a trailer to get them into understanding what they'll see and what they'll be able to do piece by piece. So now they can come in and actually attend, digest, and ask questions.
Gotcha. All right. And then with that said, is there anything that you feel like after getting this class with the change economy, is there anything you're going to change in it or you feel needs to be added to it now to kind of make it more, I mean, I swear in technologies, every 3 months, 6 months, everything changes again. So is there anything like, is there any other change that you see might be needed to be made for maybe some future growth or potential that people are starting to look forward to?
Absolutely. I'll try to keep it simple, but as you just said, every single month, not only technology, but AI has advanced. So I've been keeping up and rotating the AI education and trying to simplify it to start with, okay, this is what a business plan is. We can use this program and this program, but the fundamentals are going to be the 5-minute cuts that we put into a video so that when they come into class, whether there's a new ChatGPT or Gemini, those videos are actually giving them the fundamentals to start utilizing AI, whichever AI it is, if that makes sense.
No, the old saying was how to eat a elephant one bite at a time. So it's giving them the smaller bites till they can understand what they're getting into beforehand. I get that one. Appreciate you guys' time. Thank you.
Mr. Dovey?
How long would the class was the class? I mean, you're talking about 30 seconds you just showed us, and you want to make it more bite-sized. I mean, if someone was to come to the class, which I've never been to, how long do you actually work with them?
So it was a 2-hour workshop. They come in, try to introduce them to that specific topic, and in the first 30 minutes, run them through a lecture of terminology, and then for basically the next 30 to hour, we basically run them through actually doing it with their business idea. So for example, with creating a website, gave them a breakdown of what a website, what Google Sites is, how AI, and then actually did the steps with them over a 2-hour period. But the digestible part of this is a 30-second trailer. There's actually an hour-long video along with this trailer, and both of the 2-hour class and the hour class, I've gotten feedback that it's too much at one time. So it's about cutting it up right now.
And where do they take the class?
Oh, say that again?
Where did they take the class?
So they took the class at the Federal Way Hub, and to answer your previous question, it was actually a series of 4 workshops.
So somebody, I'm asking the question because I had this discussion with you before. We do the financial training for people in Federal Way. So this was a 4-week class for small businesses to learn how to do websites and use AI and things like that. I mean, you came 4 consecutive times and people came for a 2-hour slot, and hopefully they all learned something and walked away with making their business better.
Correct. It was 4 consecutive workshops. Each were 2 hours. The first one was on utilizing AI to create a website. Other one was how to create a marketing plan, and another one was a business plan, and ending up with a business proposal. So that same kind of breakdown is what I ran the UW. Sorry, I didn't even tell you what the UW company was. It's a 3D printing company that takes 3D printing plastic and turns it into what you can call the 3D printing ink, so that you can easily 3D print. They were able to not just present their idea, but basically do these exact same steps with AI to present their idea and win the competition, or at least win 3rd place.
Oh, thank you. Do you have to be 18 to take this, to work with you guys?
We do have an age limit of 8, to begin at 18, yes.
And how old, so, if you know, the oldest person you've worked with?
On AI or anytime?
Anytime.
The oldest person I've worked with was probably in their mid-70s.
Wow, that's cool. Thank you.
Lydia, are you online? Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Chair. I don't have questions, but I was also thinking the same line as Councilmember Dovey around digital, education. And even if we tie this, even if we add one more session to both classes, and it doesn't necessarily have to be around starting a business, but it just could be around learning how to use technology, the benefits of it. And I'm always concerned and worried about fraud, but I don't think this has anything to do with what they just presented, but it's something that I would like for us to explore for our financial literacy workshops. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. Let's see, no other questions here?
I would just like to say thank you for the great work that you do. I know it is tremendous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Council.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so now the last part of my presentation is just a brief update on a number of the different economic development programs, A through D on this list, as well as N, are programs that have been completed, and you've received updates on them previously. Well, actually, N is still sort of in progress, but we're not going to focus on those so much today. So let's see. So Program E, which is our Business Enterprise Startup Program, that's one that $26,000 of that was allocated to the Federal Way Public Market. There's $14,000 remaining in that program that will be reallocated at a later time. So we'll come back and discuss it, or if you have ideas about how you might like to see that reallocated, we're all ears. Items F through G and H on this list, so the business and CTE program, the business outreach and retail attraction. Those three programs, we've talked about some different ideas for them, and we plan to revisit that at a future FedRAC meeting. That accounts for about $150,000 of programming, so a pretty significant portion, and we want to make sure that it's used in a way that has a good return on investment and is really helpful to the business community here. Program I, our hotel absorption program, that was to do a hotel absorption study. It was something that we didn't really feel was necessary. And so we reallocated about half of that, $9,460, for a one-year contract to access CoStar and STR data. And the remaining is reserved either for a possible renewal of that if we find that it's really useful, or that it might be used for other things. I'll give you an example in a minute of some of the types of data that the CoStar system has, and it's what a lot of different organizations use, both for looking directly at hotel data and how things are going with hotels, but also for properties in general. So it's good for site selection and helping people find the right spaces and what might be available. Item K is city marketing. So that is the contract that started with a national company. That contract was ended with about half of the amount remaining, about $83,000 remaining in that city marketing budget. We have just executed a contract with a local marketing agency, Madcap Marketing, who will be taking all of the half-complete items from that and turning them into completed products. So that includes different like one-pagers that can be handed out, looking at medical industry, looking at one that's geared towards developers for both commercial and multifamily development, one that's a sort of a more general one, one that's focused on retail. So we're working through all of those and sort of cleaning those up and turning them into something that's usable and taking all of that work that was done and finishing that off. After that contract is complete, there are about $43,000 in remaining funds in there that we'd like to sort of set aside for other future marketing efforts. And then the other program, Program L on here, Start to Cart. So that was the online business list and online marketplace. That is a contract that we have decided to end. So that will be ending in the fourth quarter of this year. We will not be renewing that contract. We'll be shifting to some sort of more simple business directory, and any leftover funds in that will be reallocated. That was one that, I think it was something that a lot of people were trying during COVID, but the reality was that our retailers weren't really interested in selling things online, and our community wasn't really interested in shopping there. So, you know, at any one time, there might be 10 or 12 items listed. Most of them were things you could find on Etsy or that you could find through some other venue. And so it just didn't make sense to continue that program. So here is an example of some of the data that we just pulled from CoStar and STR. So STR provides hospitality-specific data for analytics and marketplace insights. And so if you look at the chart on the left-hand side, this is for the 8 hotels that are sort of the larger ones in the Federal Way market, located within the city. So I've removed all of the little tiny ones that have a few rooms or, you know, maybe don't have a whole lot of changeover in them. And what's interesting is, so if you see the green jagged line that kind of goes up and down, that is the occupancy. So this starts in 2021 and goes through 2025. And you can see that COVID really did a number on the occupancy percentage. And so it kind of went up and down, but we're basically just about back to where we were in 2022 as everybody kind of got tired of being at home and decided to start traveling again. And so we're right around 65, 66% occupancy for our hotel rooms on average. The blue line is ADR, which is the average daily rate. And so that's showing that we're around $140, $150 a night for our average daily rate for those hotels. And then the revenue per available room, the RevPAR, that is what's used to measure hotel performance by looking at their ability to fill available rooms at an average rate. And so that number is gotten by multiplying the average daily revenue by the occupancy rate. And if you see, that's the purple box there, and that has had a nice sort of upward trend. So this is the sort of data that's good both, I think, for our lodging tax advisory committee as they look at different things, but also sort of getting a better understanding of what's going on with our hotel market, and starting to put some information into there so that we can better understand who's visiting, when they're visiting. The 2 little charts down at the bottom are done monthly, and those are for 2024 and 2025. And those I think are really interesting because you can see the seasonality of when people are visiting. So, you know, starting in January, it's a little bit lower. Interestingly, February and March is a little bit more active. April drops back down a little bit again in May, and then, you know, June, July, August are often our best performers. And as you can see, the darker of the 2 on each is 2025, and most of 2025 has outpaced 2024. The average daily rate is a little bit lower this year, and so that one I thought was kind of interesting. And then these are the programs that we previously reported on at the May 27th, 2025 FedRAC meeting. So we weren't going to revisit those again. These are all projects that are closed out now. The mobile surveillance trailers, the grant writer support and grant and fundraising workshops program, the top 100 people, places, things program, the website audit, and then the website rebuild for the Visit Federal Way website. That is not complete yet. We've been waiting to launch the tourism promotion campaign, and so some of that information is starting to fill that in now. There have been some changes to it recently. We're just about to go live with an events calendar on that page and some other things. And later this year, there'll be some suggested itineraries and that type of thing. And then the 2 programs that are in progress are the 2 that you heard about tonight, the in-home child care program and the digital literacy program. And then I just wanted to give you a real brief update on the tourism promotion plan. So this is the project that is funded by LTAC funds. And we'll have a presentation on this at a meeting later this year on the program and its progress, but I just kind of wanted to let you know where it's starting out right now. So We have hired a consultant, J. Ray, who's a local company and has worked with a lot of other cities in the area, but also in other parts of the country on tourism plans. They came and visited us and spent the day here on August 28th for a familiarization tour, and have started doing all these different things. So we now have some work that they've done in the digital space, like where they put widgets on things that are starting to track where people are clicking from and that type of thing. There's a Cision database that they've set up for media monitoring, where they're collecting every time that Federal Way is mentioned, whether it's positive or neutral or negative. And so part of that will lead into kind of more of PR types of work, about, what does it look like right now from the outside world and even within the local community here, and then what work needs to be done to sort of change that perception, if anything. They're also starting to pitch some ideas for things. So like there are, different groups that are doing sort of fall trips, like to see the fall leaves. And so they've pitched things like, drive along Dash Point Road in the fall, and they have a couple of different places to stop along Dash Point Road to try to get people to come explore Federal Way in the fall. They are planning a video and photo shoot for end of September, early October. So they're moving pretty rapidly on that right now. And we have also started an account with Datafy, which provides data-driven insights. And so we've set up a whole bunch of geofences around certain areas. So some of them are specific, like there's a geofence around the Performing Arts Center. There's a geofence around Wild Waves. There's a geofence around the Commons Mall area. And so that you can start figuring out if somebody comes into town, if they're going to multiple locations. Maybe somebody that's coming into town to the Aquatic Center is also staying at one of the hotels and also goes and visits one of our parks. And so all of our parks are geofenced, all of the different sort of traditional places that people might visit are. We've also created some that are based on like this office park area over here, to get a sense of if you have business travelers who are coming in, who are coming for multiple days in a row into this area and then staying at hotels. So that should be pretty interesting. That's part of what will bring more information back to you as we start really looking at using that data for where people are going when they come into the city and what that all looks like. They're also scheduling some tourism partner meetings and launching a tourism survey. The tourism survey will go to, our partners like the Chamber and hoteliers and event spaces like the Performing Arts and Events Center and the Aquatic Center, and then businesses like hospitality-based businesses who likely would be the ones to see visitors in from out of town to get an idea of, what the tourism landscape looks like from their perspective. And then they're also going to be attending the Washington State Tourism Conference and starting to sort of pitch things on our behalf. So I will wrap it up there and see what questions you have on any of those items.
Great, thank you. Mr. Dovey?
Yeah, I thank you for the report. Seems like a lot going on. I do have a couple questions, though. First, on hotels, 66% occupancy seems really low. I mean, they can't be making any money.
Yeah, it's actually pretty average.
Really? Across the country?
Across the
66?
country, yeah. And so one of the things I'll do, I thought it would be interesting for a future one, because we just got access to all of this about a week and a half ago, is that I'll bring more of a report back. But it's pretty average, and what's interesting is if you're over about 75%, that most hoteliers will look at that and say that that's proof that you need more hotels in your area. And so that's kind of what they consider market saturation. I was thinking like 75 to 80% to me doesn't seem like market saturation.
Okay.
But, this is pretty in line with where Tacoma and the areas right around Tacoma are, and pretty in line with where Seattle is as well. So,
Okay.
and across the country, it seems like 65 to 70% is where they consider a healthy amount to be for throughout the year for your occupancy.
So that, if that's true, which I don't have a reason to believe it's not, then all the studies we've talked about getting new hotels would probably come back, you probably don't need one.
Yeah,
If, you know, we have the top hotels are 66%.
right.
For years, we've been talking about getting a hotel down by the Pack and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah, I think the short answer is looking just at the occupancy data. Probably it doesn't point to needing more hotel rooms. Sometimes there is something with looking at what the levels of hotels are, where, you know, you could make a case that potentially we might need one that's more of a boutique hotel, like a higher end, more European style hotel, versus the ones that are more kind of either business or family focused. But yes, it doesn't really point to the fact that there is a need for more hotel rooms.
So the other thing I have a question about is, you know, we got the light rail starting, and in part of your report, you talked about the community market. We've supported them with some money. And, you know, I've been thinking about that, you know, we're not gonna have anything built for, what, 5 years, 8 years before there could ever be a community market per se, because there won't be a building and we don't have a space unless there's something temporary or whatever. But is there any thought about how you could test the community market concept, i.e. like we got the transit center opening and maybe we have a small community market celebration and have a bunch of tents like we do the farmers market, like they did in Linwood or something like that? Or
Yeah.
we look at temporary spots. Are you looking at any of that, or have you thought
Yeah,
about
you know,
that?
we've started having that conversation, and I think, you know, I'm a big fan of sort of testing things out, doing pilot programs or sort of, you know, tactical urbanism, like doing something inexpensively to test out and see. I think, you know, part of it will depend on our public market partners in that, whether there's interest, because I know that, I know that sometimes it's a struggle to move things, and I think there's a desire to sort of have a permanent home, but I'm sort of seeing some nodding over here that there might also be interest in testing out. And so that's definitely a conversation that we will be having, so.
Okay. Yeah, it just seems like now's the time with all those things happening and.
Right,
we
that
should
there's
be-
a lot of energy right
and-
now.
And
Yep.
not just a community market, there's probably a lot of other things we should try to test and, like, test a digital class on a regular basis for small businesses. I'd even go.
Yeah.
But, anyway, so that was my point. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Councilmember Honda?
Thank you. On the mobile surveillance trailers, can you tell me how many we have and how many businesses have used them? And have they helped with any crime cases in Federal Way?
So the MST program is run by the police department.
Correct.
After the last presentation, Deputy Chief had written up something that I sent out that had all the statistics on it. I don't remember what the number is. I'm certainly happy to resend that out, or you know, we can have Deputy Chief come in the future and share.
Okay. And on tourism, in many cities, the Chamber of Commerce runs the tourism. In Federal Way, to take something off of the city's plate, why don't we have the chamber do that?
So my understanding is, before the current chamber CEO started, the chamber was doing tourism, and at some point that transitioned back to the city. At this point in time, you know, I've had discussions with the chamber about what level of interest they want to have in this. I think they definitely want to be part of the discussion. I'm not getting a strong sense that they're that interested in taking tourism back into it. It's just not an area that they're currently working on that much. You know, every city and every county is different, and it is interesting that most places have a destination marketing organization, an assigned DMO. Federal Way does not. So like in Pierce County, there's Visit Tacoma Pierce County, which is countywide. And here you have Visit Seattle, which just covers the Seattle area. You have Southside, which is some of the Southside cities, but it doesn't come down this far.
Right.
Kent Valley has started their own. And so we are kind of in an area where we're a little bit on our own in this for tourism. It certainly is something that, you know, we'll continue discussing with the chamber, and if there is an interest in the future, it's something that we can talk about. But at this point, I don't think that they have the staffing capacity, and they're kind of focused on other types of work.
Okay, and my last question is on the grant writer. So does the city have a grant writer now, or what are we doing? Is each department doing their own thing like we did before?
Correct. Yep, so each department is doing their own thing like they did before. I think one of the big lessons learned with this is that, the departments who regularly apply for grants already have the skills and the knowledge to go after the grants that they want to. They know which ones they're going to be competitive on. And while the grant writer found other types of grants that the city hadn't accessed before, most of them were ones that either were not ones we were going to be competitive on and would have taken a lot of time to apply and most likely wouldn't have gone anywhere. Or they were grants that, were of such a minimal nature and required so much oversight that they just weren't worth it. And so that's, my understanding is that the various departments who regularly go after grants preferred to continue doing it the way that they were doing and they've been successful at.
So the grants that were in process with the grant writer, where are those at? What's the status on those?
So the ones that we were waiting to hear back on, I'm not sure. Most of them we did not get. I think there are one or two of them that the Arts Foundation, kind of nearing the end of the term with the grant writer, was waiting to hear back. And I think, frankly, that's where the most the most wins were with the Arts Foundation. So I can certainly check back in and see. The last time that I spoke with Autumn, they were still waiting to hear back on a few of those.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Great. Well, thank you very much for the update.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we are moving on to item I, ordinance 2025-2026 biennial budget amendment number 2. Mr. Groom.
Thank you very much. It's been a couple months since we've done this. We have been busy in the background, and let's see, I have to remember how to do this. There we go. I think that will do it. We first amended the 25-26 budget in June, and the moment, I think I remember that week, I started making the new list of things that needed to be into the next budget amendment. The ones that we have are almost, I think every single one of them is fairly straightforward. We have some, the purpose of bringing budget amendments is because we have new information that we didn't know at the time of budget adoption. And we've got two things. We've got some approved contracts and projects that you, the council, have approved in the meantime. And we have some new revenues. Most of those, I think, are grants with offsetting revenues and expenses. We've got three items that have got some unbudgeted new revenue. We've got a Washington AG grant for $150,000. I think that was the one that took care of the gun buyback and the safe giveaway. There was the Department of Commerce electric vehicle charging. That was $300,000. And then recently, we had the utility tax track phone settlement. That predated 2021. That's a one-time one-time utility tax. It's unrestricted utility tax, and that comes with a collections fee. In the category of things that are coming from fund balance, we just recently completed our 2024 audit. The reason that's important is because now we've got final numbers that we can carry forward from 2024, including the ARPA there at the bottom. We worked with the Public Works Department to make sure that all of their capital projects, the amount that had been previously approved but still yet to be spent at December 31st of 24. That's a very large number, 49 billion, but that's largely the maintenance and operations facility. Makes sense. The Parks Department had several CIP projects, and those totaled 415,000. We had a King County carry forward of a grant in Keith Niven's area that was 100,000, and then ARPA. I wish I could find a different way to call it ARPA, because it's not ARPA anymore. And I will tell you, we got through the audit. The auditors looked at how we completed, how we spent all of the ARPA money using public safety money, creating savings in the general fund. And that is all completely done. Happy to tell you. I don't have a better way to characterize those projects. It's being funded out of the general fund. We carried forward all of the unspent dollars at December 31st. And as you know, in your monthly financial report every month, we continue to give you that list of those projects as they get spent down. So we needed to bring the budget forward. And I just remind you that this is bringing budget forward. Everything always has to come to you for approval for spending and contracts. So this will move forward to a public hearing on October 7th. We'll have a first reading of the ordinance on October 7th and a second reading on October 21st. Any questions?
Mr. McDaniel and then Mr. Dovey.
Yeah, first question is, could you please explain to me what the word carry forward technically means?
Yes. Thank you for asking. When you adopt a budget in prior years and you approve capital projects primarily, that means that you are approving the funding that's coming in that year to be spent on capital projects. However, if the expenditures take longer than 1 year, you've already approved it, the funding was earmarked, but we have to bring it forward into the next budget year. Otherwise, we would be spending the next year's budget, depleting it. And so we're trying to get the revenues and the expenses of every project in every budget year, just so that they line up and match. We don't want to goof up the current year. For example, the maintenance operations facility. We don't have $49 million in this year's budget. That was bond proceeds of last year. We got the money. It was in last year's budget. You approved it, so we just roll it forward. And that's the same thing for everything. That's a carry forward.
So carry forward is pretty much money has already been collected, it's been assigned to a project, the project did not get done previous year, so we just moved the project to the next year?
That's exactly right.
Okay. What happens if we have a shortfall in finances so that we put a project off, like a road overlay or something like that? Is that still classified as a carryover, that project, or what happens to that particular project?
Yeah, we're talking capital projects, and as you know with REIT, if there was REIT that we budgeted and didn't collect, but we have to carry that forward, why we have to manage the timing of the spending so that we always make sure that we're spending money that we've actually received.
Gotcha. My next question is grants. Do we do a separate line item for grants on revenue stream that shows how much grant money comes in? I know we used to, but do we still do that?
I believe we do, and I'm gonna, one of these days, I'm gonna have David start presenting, but he's been tied up with the audit. I think we have grant revenue, not only as a line item, but some grants actually have specific names. Is that true?
Yes. So we create different revenue accounts and the expenditure account to keep tracking on each grants.
And they collocate, the account numbers actually match, so we have a good record of tracking them then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't create a separate fund for each restricted revenue and expense, but we use the restricted revenue and the spending account to match up.
Does the fund numbers start with like if it's in parks, the grant that was going to parks would start with the parks funding number then, and then break down to the 3D numbers?
Yes, if some of the funds go into specific funds, then yes. Yeah, and then so would the expenses.
Got you. And then I see that we have on here the ARPA money. So on the ARPA, the carry forward savings was $8 million on here. When I go through the exhibits, the biggest change I see, other than just flip-flopping like two line items, is that we started off with, I want to say it's a $14 million beginning fund budget for general funds, and it becomes 22. Is the difference between those two the ARPA money being allocated towards it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the second question is, it has $8 million on this one that we carried forward. When I look at our current report for tonight, the ARPA spend says that we have $4 million unspent.
We're down to $4 million. So in the current year, we've spent down $4 million. 4 left to go. The original was 19.2 million.
All right, and I think that might be that's all I have right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Dovey?
Yeah, if you go back,
Sure.
where we got the money for the people finding the money from TracFone.
Yes.
So I view that, and maybe I'm the only one, as money we never budgeted. And I have a real problem that we just dump it in and we haven't had a time as a council to say, where's it going? What are we gonna do with it? And I still don't know. So I have a hard time approving this, because all of a sudden we took $1,093,000, $1 million, and we paid the fee to get the money. I have no problem with that. But where's the money going?
Yeah.
And who's made the decision where it's going? And why hasn't it come to the council to have us talk about it?
Expenditures come to you for approval. I can't spend any money that's not budgeted for spending. Now, if we get some new money from sales tax or
Sure.
utility tax, it's great that we get new revenue, but we budgeted only so much expenses. If we get new revenue, we can't spend it until we come to you and ask to spend it. In this instance, I'm bringing you $1 million of revenue, not really asking for approval. We are
Yeah,
going to
you're
amend the
asking
budget
us-
for the revenue. The only expenditures I'm asking to approve is the collections fee, which brings us the net of $841. And I don't have an approval, I don't have a proposal to spend it. I think we all know that we're looking for revenue, but I don't have any.
But we're looking for revenue. Sorry, I'm not
Yes.
arguing, but
Right.
when we go back to this book that we spent a tremendous amount of time on that you gave us,
Sure.
we have 225 and 226, how much sales tax and all these different things, and you're going to talk to us more about it tonight. But again, that money was never in this budget. And it may be because we have a shortfall, it needs to go there, but that discussion has to be had. The 251,000, that was just the cost for somebody to go fight and get it. And there's probably a couple other cellular telephone companies that are in the same situation as TracFone that haven't paid also. But again, I want to have the discussion somewhere where that money's going and what it's going to be spent on. It just doesn't get sucked up into our budget because it came through, because we never planned for it. And we may need it to plug a hole, but we haven't had that discussion.
Yes, in our discussions with mayor and city administrator and department heads, we have greenlighted nothing new. This, you're exactly right, that this is revenue that allows us to not make cuts. And that
Well, that's,
is, it's not a decision, but it kind of is, yeah.
but it shouldn't be.
Yeah, yeah. I'm at a loss for how to come up with okay, what do we do?
Well, I don't know what we do. I'm just,
Yeah.
maybe I'm the only one up here that thinks that way.
You're not.
Huh?
You're not.
Okay, well, nobody else is saying anything, but,
So,
I haven't had a chance to talk yet.
okay, sorry. Anyway, that's
But-
my concern.
Well, let's tease this out a little bit more, because you are the policy-making body for this entire city. And if you see that we've had other revenues that are short, and then this one comes in, would you rather that this go to reserves, and should we cut other things? How do it, because I want to make it a policy decision, right, and lay it at your feet. What I'm doing is making this transparent so that you see it, and
Yeah.
and that's like me bringing with half a brain, what do you think, you
Yeah,
know?
well, I mean, no decision's, in my opinion, is going
Mm-hmm.
to be made here at the dais. Because we don't, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where it would be, what it's recommended. I mean, you said you've talked with the mayor's talked with the city manager.
Yeah.
Brian, I mean, you
Yeah.
guys have all been talking about it, but we haven't. And we haven't had a presentation that says, by the way, we're fortunate we got this money, this is what it's gonna cost, but we have a problem at, First and Pine Street, and we need asphalt overlay, that's why we're gonna use it. Whatever that is, but again, I'm okay with updating the budget, but I would be very disappointed if I don't know where that money goes, or what we're gonna do with it, and this body here hasn't decided.
Yeah, I want to be very clear. At
And-
the moment, I want to be very clear. At the moment, it is filling a budget hole, which means it
But
goes to our.
But what hole? I don't know what hole. We're gonna have another hole, because interest rates are going down on T-bills. I mean, we got a lot of holes coming up in the last quarter, I'm sure. But thank you.
Sure.
Councilmember Honda?
Thank you. So I have a couple questions. When is the next budget amendment coming?
Statutorily, we have to have a mid-year, and I think it has to be, gosh, between November 1st and December 31st, if I recall. I'm not positive. It's in the RCWs. We absolutely have to have immediate review.
Okay, so we have an interfund loan. It's
Yes.
due in November. And what has been decided on that? It's what, 4.8, 4.5, 4.8 million?
4.8 million, yes.
What has been decided on that? How, are we going to pay it off, or are we going to let it just continue on?
No, we continue to believe that the sale of the Town Square 3 property will extinguish that loan. We don't think it's going to happen by November, but we think it's reasonably close. Keith Niven tells me he's still in discussion with the developer. I think he's brought some information that says the same thing. So that's currently still our plan.
So the developer has found the investors that he needs?
I can't say that. I can't remember what Keith said specifically, but he says that the developer is still looking at the development of that property, and at the time of the purchase, that would be what would extinguish our interfund loan.
I understand that, but how long do you think that we will, it'll be before we're able to pay that off?
I think it's going to be into the next year, and I need to be able to have a reasonable explanation to explain it to our auditors. It's an audit guideline, yeah. And we still think that's our reasonable plan.
It's kind of scary to have, to have this sitting there and not.
I join you.
I understand that,
Yes.
that we think we have a plan, but
Yes.
we also don't have, and I hope Trent One actually buys the property.
Yes, that's one of and that's why I've been bringing it up a couple times. We don't let it get forgotten, yeah.
Okay. So the settlement on the track phone settlement, you just stated that it's going to allow us not to make cuts. What cuts were being planned?
Deferring spending. We looked at the pace of our turnover and our vacancies. We contemplated stretching out vacancies.
How many vacancies do we have?
Oh, I don't have the number.
Okay.
And I don't mean to be elusive. It's a changing number, but I do know that the police department has been much more successful in their recruiting. They have fewer vacancies because we always watch to see how they're covering the overtime, and their overtime has decreased, so, yeah.
I know we have road projects that we deferred because we don't have the funding.
Road projects comes out of real estate excise tax, the REIT.
So we would not use this settlement on something like that?
Correct. This is strictly general fund. This is unrestricted utility tax.
Okay. So, well, if you decide what the cuts might have been, could you email them to us?
I'm sorry, say it again, please.
When you decide what the cuts might have been that were being planned, could you let us know?
Oh, I can, yeah.
Thank you.
Councilmember Paul McDaniel.
Yeah. I'm just one real quick question on that one, and to your comment, Councilmember Dovey, yeah, that was part of my conversation, but because it was added into this month's financials, I was gonna wait for the next one to really have that deeper conversation. So the one-time utility tax of the 800,000, that one, is it going into the general fund, or is it going into a restricted or just utility?
It's general fund. It is.
Is it utility, then transferred to general then?
It's unrestricted utility tax, which comes into the general fund. The 1.75 and the 10% are restricted. This is telephone.
Okay, I just want to make sure, and this was, was this a 10-year catch-up, or how many years was this? I remember the email came out and you showed us, and that phone, sad thing is, the phones they're talking about, that's a company that people on very fixed budgets use, which means they're going to get that nailed to them, which means we just hosed another group of people.
I was quite surprised when we even got the check, and it was for multiple years, and I don't, off the top of my head, I don't remember how many years it was for. I'm sorry.
All right. 10? Okay, yeah, I'll hold the rest of my questions until we get to the big packet. Thank you.
Okay.
Council President.
Thank you very much, Chair. So, we've had this type of a discussion many times in the past where we've had the mid-year biennial adjustment. And we've always had an open public meeting where we've discussed what additional revenue has come in
Mhm.
and what we were going to spend it on. And this year, it may be not spending it, it may be on cuts. However, I do think we need to set a time and a meeting where we have that discussion on, in public, how we're going to handle this unallocated revenue.
We actually have 2 public hearings for this, and we will do the same for our mid-year. We will actually have a public hearing, and so that's a very public discussion. That's what we do.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So during the public discussion on this,
August.
right,
October 7th.
so it's coming up. Will you have more information for us on the questions we've been asking tonight?
I'm sorry, would I have more information?
On the questions we've been asking
Oh,
tonight?
sure.
Okay, thank you.
So I guess we can vote to move this forward to the consent agenda. Okay.
Let me get the right one, though. All right. I move to forward the proposed ordinance to public hearing and first reading on October 7th, 2025.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. This matter passed 3-0. Thank you. Okay, this next item, item J and K, since we did not have the meeting in August, so that's why we have kind of a set of 2, right?
Yes,
All right,
yes.
go ahead.
This is to, in your packet, you have the complete list of accounts payable vouchers. And in the month of July, the total was almost 7 million, of which 3.2 was for the maintenance and operations facility construction. That was 2 invoices that if you found it on page, whatever page it's on, those 2 invoices elevated the total accounts payable spending for the month of July. For the payroll vouchers, this happens to be a very routine month. It's just the month that doesn't have quarterly payroll taxes. Councilmember Honda sent us questions early, and these questions we sent answers to. Always happy to take more questions, and I appreciate your review and your engagement. I know you reserve the right to ask more questions. We'll always look them up if you like. That's all I have for the July vouchers.
Thank you, Steve.
I do have one question on one of your answers, if that's okay.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So I asked about the flower baskets, and I asked if staff costs were included in those, in the cost of the flower baskets, and the answer was, because not all council got the answers, it does not include staff. Public Works utilizes city staff for watering, as you mentioned. So there's a special truck that has a watering tank in it.
Yes.
And there's two staff members in the truck.
Yes,
And
I've seen them too, yes.
Yeah, I've seen them
Yeah.
pretty much every morning because those water baskets have
We
to
have to
be
keep them
watered.
alive. We paid for them. How much was it?
It was $5,966.
Yes.
Which is 50% of the cost.
Which was the second half, yes.
Right. So my question is, years ago, when I first got on council, we did not do flower baskets one year because of financial issues here in the city.
Little belt tightening, yeah.
And I think when we have a discussion with, I love the flower baskets. Don't get me wrong, I love them.
I wasn't going to suggest you didn't.
But I didn't want anyone up here to suggest that. And I want to see them next year. But if this is something that we're going to look at potentially maybe not doing because of the cost, we would need to have a true cost, which would include the staff, in my opinion. So,
Yeah, I originally asked the Parks Department the question, and then it bounced over to Public Works. I didn't even know which department the cost was being borne by. So I will pass on, and this was it was enlightening to find out that was half of the cost for 160 baskets, so.
no, they're beautiful, and I do enjoy them, but it is something that if we had to make some cuts, unfortunately, that
So-
would probably be something that could be cut.
I will pass on to EJ the question because I don't imagine that that's their full-time job. That's probably a partial, but
True.
I'll pass on the question and ask.
I mean, if they're not doing that, they're doing something else because we know park staff is very overworked and,
Sure.
and we could use more park staff.
Yes,
All right, thank you.
happy to do that.
Mr. McDaniel.
Could I say one more? I'd like to thank you for sending me the vouchers last month too, so I didn't have to spend 6
yes.
hours on Sunday night and
You
I
still
only
did
had
it on
3.
late
Yeah.
Sunday night, so no matter, yeah, you,
It was, I think, 1 o'clock when I sent it out. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
At the moment, I just have one quick question. It's going to be on the dispatch services. It's a $500,000, technically it's $527,000.
which
Do we-
services, I'm sorry?
Dispatch services.
Dispatch.
Yeah, and it has dash intergov. So on that particular one, is that a monthly fee, quarterly, or how do we pay our dispatch fees?
I'd have to research that and I'll find out and email you. We paid out a PD, I believe. And I don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay, yeah, just curious. It popped up in the top one, so
Yeah,
I'm really
it's
curious on that.
material, sure.
Mr. Walsh.
Yeah, I was just going to say that what Susan was saying with the flower baskets, that it also takes staff time. I think that that's kind of like what Jack had mentioned earlier with the farmer's market, is that as long as they're not creating overtime, I mean, that's something, that's part of their, a part of what they'd be doing. And so, I mean, it may be that they're doing that instead of something else.
Yeah.
But still, if it's not creating overtime, I mean, that's part of their job.
There isn't a department in the city that doesn't need more staff and has to make priority decisions on how they deploy their staff. So you're right. We're going to pay whatever's in the budget, however, that does limit what they can do.
Okay, I'm going to ask Ryan for his guidance here. Can we do one motion for 2 set of AP voucher, or you have to do separately?
You can if it's clear. So, sure.
Okay.
I'll fast forward through the slides. I was going to mention that I sent the answers to the questions today and failed to attach all the invoices, and so those went out to you very late, probably around 4 o'clock, but those did go out today.
All right.
I move to forward the vouchers to October 7th, 2025 consent agenda for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Sorry, just to be clear, is this both items J
This
and
would be
K?
item J.
J.
For July 1st through July 31st. Okay.
Correct, thank you.
So this matter passed 3-0. We are now moving on to item K, AP voucher 8/1 through 8/31/2025.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought that's what you just passed. I'm ready to do the monthly financial report.
Oh.
Did you do both presentations? They only did one motion.
Oh, I have a very similar presentation for the August. The August accounts payable was 8.4 million, of which we had quite a high dollar amount that was construction project for the M&O facility. Again, 2 invoices from Corp Inc. And then the payroll vouchers were a very typical 5.3 million, no quarterly payroll taxes. And again, I sent the answers to the list of questions out, so.
Mr. Dovey and then.
Yeah, I just have
Daniel.
one question. There was how do I say this? In one of your questions, you talked about the cost of the pack for an event that we had there. I think it was 19,000.
Yeah, the arts
Yeah.
explosion.
And
Yeah, Arts Explosion, yeah.
Yeah, which I have no problem with the 19,000, but I think it would be very helpful in future when that was the first time I really understood what giving the pack to someone, an arts group to use cost.
Yes.
And maybe I should have been up on it and known before, but it'd be nice to kind of keep a track of how much, because that's real money, but we're doing it for the service of the social service, to promote the arts and do different things. But it'd be nice to have somewhere kind of a track of what we're really costing ourselves when we give time to people?
That's a really insightful observation, because the same is true for the community center, the same is for Dumas Bay, the same is for Performing Arts Center. If we give free use of a facility, that facility then has a revenue shortfall in the way that we backfill that, because it's an enterprise fund. We have to manage their expenses. We have to do the accounting around it. So it's an expense to the general fund and a revenue to them. But that's an expense to the general fund that we're approving. So how much does that up to? That I would love to track for you and remind you, because when we give away things for free, it's not free.
Yeah, well, it comes out of one pocket, goes in the other.
Exactly.
It's still the same budgets, but it's just nice to know.
But it's also a use of our sales tax, utility tax revenue, what have you, taxpayer money.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep, certainly.
Only question I have is, with the construction project, I believe we're ahead of schedule on the build-out of the maintenance facility, is that correct?
I think so, yes. And I'm going by the rate of spending, yeah, so which I'm probably on a month delay.
Okay, so we'll accelerate on that one. I'll have more questions on it, but I know that's going to directly affect our interest income, even though I know interest income on that particular project can only be used for that project.
Exactly, it's going to, yes.
Still drops that number.
It'll add less to the project, yes.
Okay.
You're
I'll
on- you're
save
on-
that for the next item on the agenda.
You're on it. Okay.
Want to make the motion?
Yes.
Okay, so, let me get through that. I move to forward the vouchers to the October 7th, 2025 consent agenda for approval.
Second.
To clarify, this is item K, correct?
Correct.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. This matter passed 3-0. Thank you. Now we moving on to item L, monthly financial report, July and August 2025.
Thank you. I'm going to give you 2 months' worth, because there's no point in giving you a July report when we now have August numbers. But let me brighten your day. This is going to be our final, I'm not sure if it's the highlight of the meeting, but it's how we're going to end the meeting. The most recent national inflation numbers went up just a touch. In August, we're up to 2.9%. And as I always show, that little dotted red line is the 2% that the Federal Reserve is trying to get our national inflation down to, and it hasn't. However, and it's been since January of 2021 since we were below 2%. I think that's just striking. And the cumulative graph below just shows us that anything that cost $100 in 2021 is now up to 125 and change. And that's the reality we all know. Now, regionally, it's almost exactly the same. Inflation popped up the last 4 months. These are bi-monthly figures. And something that cost $100 regionally, we believe, is 127. So I think that reflects the reality that most of our citizens know about. Sales tax revenue is still unfavorable to budget and just a touch under prior year. And I always start with the graph that shows the cumulative red line, how it's tracking against the blue line of last year, and how it's tracking against the shaded wedge of where we want to end up by the end of the year. But if we look at month by month, the most recent month is just a touch higher than the prior year. Of the 7 months here, I think I've got 4 months that were better than last year. Last year, we didn't have any. We didn't have any months that were better than the previous year. This year, we are, we've had a few months that are giving us hope, and year-to-date, we are just a touch higher than we were prior year. That's not news, it's not different, but I think we've been seeing that on and off all year. This is the utility tax we were just speaking of. The spike in the current month in July is that unrestricted utility tax, the recovery from TracFone.
If you didn't have that spike.
Didn't mean.
Would we be on the blue? Are we ahead or behind? I
It would
mean,
be
the spike is abnormal.
We have been tracking all year above prior year. Now, remember, in our first budget amendment, we reevaluated where we were going, and we raised the budget. So we thought we were going to hit that budget, but just barely by end of year before this came in. Does that make sense? So,
Real quick, is this the one we're using to pay for the lieutenants? Is this the unrestricted utility that we used in order to fix the budget for the lieutenants, $1 million? Okay.
yeah. Yes.
So Councilmember Dovey's question was, where would the red line be if we didn't have the money that came in? Would it be on the blue line or between the gray and the blue line?
If you ignore the last two dots, I'm not sure how clear it is on your screen, but in June, when we did our budget amendment, we would have had, I think, through March or April, and we raised the budget thinking that we were going to have a red line that was going to track exactly to hit budget. After we bumped it up a little, because we had budgeted it originally in our adopted budget too cautiously. It was coming in favorably, so when we did the budget adoption, and I still think that we're gonna hit that, without that $1 million, we thought that would achieve the new budget at the run rate all of those utility taxes were coming in. Which means that we're backfilling sales tax.
Okay, so,
You
So-
subtract 800 from there, you're going to
Right.
be barely over the blue.
so we would be, as Councilmember McDaniel just said, barely over the blue.
Still on the.
Okay,
And this graph is
That
from
was just
July
in-
or August.
yeah.
This is through July, this is.
So we're going to get the update. You're going to go to August, so we'll see a little.
Oh, no, this is the most recent I have
Okay.
at this very moment.
Okay, thank you.
Because we get some of these on a 1 or 2 month lag. Yeah, I'm
So-
showing you everything I know of.
So I think if we take out the roughly about $800,000 net from track phone.
Right.
I think the line still fall right at the blue line.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll go through the rest of my graphs, and then I have a summary table to show you the net of them all. Because I think that's where you're wanting to see also. Property tax is never newsworthy. I show it to give you a complete picture. We are on track. We're a touch unfavorable. That's just because of timing. We're a touch below prior year, but that's just because the last large couple of months, I expect that'll be exactly right on budget.
Can I make a comment about that graph?
Sure can.
Go back.
Yes.
So in our budget book, it says property tax 12.3 million this year. And your graph
Oh.
tops out at 12 million. So you need to probably adjust that.
Move my
'cause it's-
scale.
Yeah, because you show us coming 300,000 below what we projected in 2025, if it's right on track, and that's what we're
Sure.
expecting to get.
Happy to do that. Yep. Yep.
Could I ask a question on property tax revenue, please?
Yes.
So when senior citizens, if they meet a criteria, they can get their property taxes reduced.
Mm-hmm.
Are we told what percentage of properties in Federal Way meet that criteria and how that impacts our budget?
No. I think I have inquired, and I don't know that they have it by city or zip code. I'm not sure. Not sure.
All right, thank you.
But you could, I mean, sorry for jumping in on that, Susan, but.
Yeah, because that's something that you've.
You
you've
could
talked
do
about.
that, because anybody in King County that's over 65, because I've worked with couple people on this.
Yeah.
And I think if they make less than 76,000, and I could be wrong, they get a tax decrease. Like this one lady I worked with, and went from 8,000 down to 4.
Right.
And she got 4 years' money back.
Mhm.
So, I mean, you could run the statistics and go to King County Assessor and say, what's the plan? And you'll know how many people over 65 live here in Federal Way, and we'll know.
Because that impacts our budget.
What's that?
That impacts our budget.
Oh, it's gonna, yeah, I
So-
mean, I don't think a lot of people take advantage of it, but probably more and more are.
No, not enough people do, but we're trying to get the word out for seniors especially, because it's so expensive to live in King County.
Yeah, you all have to do is, I think you only have to be 65 and you get a King County. It's gonna impact us less than everybody else, because we're such a small portion of the property tax. So if somebody signs up for it, King County is gonna get hit more, the school district's gonna get hit more. I mean, we're such a small piece, but that's how you would kind of come up with a
Yeah,
number.
I'll send them an email and see if they have I mean, because they know the properties, they know the parcels in our city, they have the boundaries, so, yeah. I'll see if they've got that.
No? Ready for the motion?
Okay, moving on to real estate excise tax, not much good news here. We had one good month, and in fact, if I just, I don't want to gloss over this graph. We have had one good month in June, and then since then, you can see the trajectory that we're on. We're better than last year, but we're not as good as what we budgeted. And here are the months. We had one good month that was significantly high because we had a couple of, that was those two commercial properties, if that was, if I recall. So, REIT is showing an uptick. Year-to-date, it's higher than the past 2 years, and that's good news, but we're still managing our projects. Now, when we're talking real estate excise tax, we've always said this has to do with mortgage rates. And 2 weeks ago, the Federal Reserve dropped their interest rate, and this graph shows how kind of puny a 0.25% looks, and they still have a lot more ways to go, we all think. Now, when the interest rates drop, that'll hit me on the interest revenue. However, for the overall economy, I'm sure that the uptick, when the economy is thriving, the sales tax, I would much rather have it there. I'm sure you all would too. So I just wanted to report that this is where the drop occurred. They went a long time without doing a cut, and they finally did a small one. Permit fee revenue, we had an uptick in August. We had a really good month in permit fee revenue. So it's still unfavorable to budget over prior year, and that's kind of been the story of all of our revenues. They're better than prior year, but not quite up to budget. Same thing with revenue on interest revenue. Interest revenue is just a touch under prior year, and it's unfavorable to budget, and that's why. Lodging tax is a positive one. The dollars here aren't material. I just show it because it's an economic indicator. It's just an indicator of the hospitality sector bouncing back. Now, let's talk about cash, because when I do this graph, I've been doing this ever since I got here. I reached back 2 years. There are 4 events that I want to bring to your attention, and Councilmember Honda already mentioned one of them. Back in 2021, we got the first half of our ARPA cash. It was a $19.2 million grant, and we got $9.6 million. We got the second half in 2022. Then, at the end of 2022, we did the Target loan pay down. That was $4.8 million. Call it $5 million. So we still have that in our future to recover, as we've talked about. And then we've got the bond proceeds that we just recently issued, and you can see those are spending down. My point to this whole graph is that cash is going to be returning to pre-ARPA level. That's reaching back into 2021, back when we were in the neighborhood of $80 million. We've enjoyed being able to invest that cash, but now I'm going to be watching to see how much we should be investing and how much we keep in our state pool. It's still going to be another several months before that M&O bond proceeds goes away. And as you saw, we still have $4 million left to spend down in ARPA. So this is just, I sure have gotten used to having $100 million to keep track of, but it's going to go back down somewhere between 80 and 90 ongoing. I just want you to know, I'm watching it, I'm reporting it, telling you what's coming. It's not gonna be a big surprise. So here's the table that you all, I think, want to see. Variance to budget is the middle column there, and then variance to prior year. I think on so many of the revenues I reported, I said we're better than last year, but we're not hitting budget. So if you look at sales tax, the unrestricted utility tax, property tax, I'm just leaving blank because I expect that to be a net zero. The negative permit fees and the interest, it's a shortfall of $588,000. Now, on the restricted revenues, yes, REIT is unfavorable, $716, but we've got that restricted utility tax. If you add the 2 restricted pieces, that would be the 10% for solid waste and then the 1.75. That's a positive of $676, and then lodging tax, I just throw that in there because I showed you the graph. This gives you our principal revenues. So when you're thinking, now this does include that $1 million track fault settlement. Does this give you the big picture that you want to see?
I'm going to answer that one personally. It gives me partially the big picture, because the problem is it doesn't take inflation into consideration. So when you say we're higher than last year, it's irrelevant to an extent. And the other problem is even with these numbers showing us in the green, it's the one-time hits. So it's like ARPA, we have a budget that is constantly getting a one-time hit that keeps us afloat. Personally, I don't like that. I also have a problem that we don't have what I would like to see as a game plan, or at least a mechanism that says when we hit this, we have things that we're going to do. I know the most common thing is to push it till next year and just not do a project. I know that staff is the last thing to lay off and stuff like that, but there's some real questions that I think we're going to have in a few minutes here to answer some of these questions.
I won't argue with that. And I think I used to remind us all that under 4% inflation, we want to see 4% higher in our revenues, and we're not. So that means that our volume has decreased. And I think that just is saying what you just said in a different way, right? Yeah. Okay,
Okay, so I'm a little slow, so I'm going to ask a question.
please do.
So our variance to our budget and sales tax, we're down 699,000. Then you come over to the prior year, you're saying we're 99,000 more than the previous year, because that's why it's green?
Yes.
Okay. And then so the utility tax, we're 677 above, but that's because we got the money from track phone,
Yes.
which means we're really down because that was more than 677,000. But last year, we had 1.4, so we're really down 800,000.
We're up 1.4 million.
Oh, excuse me, yeah, 'cause
That's
the-
okay, yeah, we're up
yeah.
1.4, but without the
Got it.
million, it'd still be better than budget even
Yeah,
without
right.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then our permit fees were down 214, our interests were down 352,000, and that's just because.
Yeah. And it's the fact that we're all,
Okay.
every single
So-
one of these is up above from prior year, which
Yeah.
gives me hope and optimism, and yet I have to
But-
admit, we're missing budget.
But if you hadn't had the utility tax hit, which we're fortunate we had, we're really 1.3 million upside down?
Yeah.
In our budget. And then REIT, which is only for construction, so we can stop all that, that's another 716. So we're really out of budget, almost, $3 million out of sync? If we
Yeah, well,
hadn't got the track phone?
Yeah, but now, if you're gonna include REIT, then you gotta admit that
I mean, you
we
gotta
also have that
I'm
restricted.
mixing and matching,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah,
I mean,
that restricted utility tax is restricted for stuff that's in the same
yeah,
neighborhood as REIT.
that's overlay, so you can't really touch
Right.
that, right?
Right.
Yeah,
But,
okay.
but we can proceed with those, because that's
Yeah.
better. And I don't typically talk about those restricted utility taxes, because they're restricted, but,
Yeah, it was kind of confusing to me because it's Christmas colors and then you got black and
Sorry.
previous year and, anyway.
yeah, but it's Councilmember McDaniel that's been dogging me to say, are any of our revenues positive? And so I dug a little bit deeper this month.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. That's all I have. All of our departments are managing the budget. We're watching revenue closely. I continue to collect budget requests for that wait list. Don't forget the wait list. If you've got people that are asking for new things, or you have new things that we want to do, I genuinely want to capture them on the wait list so that we don't greenlight the wrong things when we do have a chance. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Paul?
Thank you. So, first off, I just want to let you know, Steve, I appreciate you guys' team, what you guys do. So everything I say has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the situation, to be blunt. I know you just give us numbers. You don't have any control over anything else. The first thing is I did get to meet with you, and I have some recommendations that I'll be passing on to the chair. One of them is the way that this report is laid out sometimes is quite confusing. Prime example is on one of the first pages under General Street Finances. There's a single line item that says other revenues, negative 1.8 million, but there's nothing that tells us what that number is, what makes up that number.
Well, that's on me. I should do a better explanation.
No problem. So instead of explanation, I'm actually going to hand off to the chair the October 2019 monthly financial report detail, which gives you a very beautiful picture of all revenues, expenses by departments and everything. I'm pretty sure, like you had mentioned in our meeting, that this does exist. but I'd love to see this back in the budget. I think it would make it a lot easier for people who do not grind the numbers like I do, and give everybody a full accounting of what's really going on the front and the back end. As you mentioned, I'm looking at that same page on page 227, and every single revenue stream on here is negative, or unfavorable is the term we like to use around here. My concern is, I would like to know, what do cities look at? And I've been told that the big concern is when they can't make a quarterly adjustment. So I would like to know, at what point does the city get concerned about the revenue stream? What is the flag that we look at? And I'll give you an example. I have a client, we sat down beginning of the year and had a conversation about, okay, things are changing. They're in construction, the economy was great during COVID, now it's kind of dipped a little bit for them, and we have a hard number hit. If they show a negative 50,000 net income for the year, we have our first action plan goes into play, and we start making changes. The moment that their savings account drops below $1.2 million, the layoffs start, or, putting people onto L&I and then having them do that one. I would like to know, in a city this size, what should we be looking for? Because I, for a few months now, have been feeling like I don't like seeing negative numbers. I understand we run a company, I'm gonna use the word company, city, whatever you want to say, an organization that provides services, so revenue's not our primary thing, but without revenues, it's kind of hard to provide services. And I understand that staff's important, so we don't want to cut them, but at the same time, pushing off roads or cutting back on services is not the game plan that I'd like to see, or at least, it's not what I'd like to see. So what is it that we should be, that council members, mayors, people in general should be looking for? What is a trigger that says, yes, we need to start reviewing stuff? And then not just a trigger, what are the first things that we should be looking at doing?
That's the reason I bring revenue every single month, and I started in January, and I was having discussions with the mayor, and, well, maybe not January. January was a little early, but first quarter. First quarter revenue is exactly when we start trying to say, where are we going to end up? Now, cities can't go bankrupt, and they have to address everything that arises, even if it's not budgeted in, like natural disasters, snow, ice, whatever. So we have to look at our reserves, because if we have any existing reserve that is available in addition to our current year revenue to help us manage, we can't turn off services, we can't turn off police or street repair or stuff like that. So we have to continue to do, but to your point, what's discretionary? What can we, I mean, we let people go very cautiously. Once we have got a service, we're committed to that, I think. Now, I'm beginning to speak to the operational side, because we've got the mayor, the city administrator, and all the department heads. But if we really get into a revenue shortfall, that's when we have to start looking citywide, talking department heads. What if, do we have any vacancies that we really want to press pause on, or just stretch out? And what projects or what kind of spending do we have that really is discretionary? That becomes a citywide discussion. But the point in time when you look at it is when you look at revenue, because I assume with the adopted budget, we've given every department authorization to spend unless we tell them we're taking some back.
Correct. And then, speaking of the fund balances, if Councilmember Dovey would flip back to this fund, the fund balances are slowly going down year over year, and some of them are at the bare minimum they can have in them. So being able to transfer funds sooner or later is not a viable option either. And I didn't understand, but I realize now that the money that we see that's in the cash flow sitting in the bank accounts and the savings accounts, that's all spoken for. All that money has already been saying, yes, you're going to spend it on these projects that have been approved by previous councils in the past. So I have real concerns. I keep saying it every time. I have one more meeting after this one to bring it up, and I'll have another one that makes no sense to me. Business license. We have more business licenses, but our revenue stream is down. I don't get how that one
Those are
out either.
new businesses.
So
I think that spike in that one graph was new. Yeah. Yep.
So that's not all businesses, that's strictly new businesses that are coming?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a bunch of new businesses, but we're losing a lot more old businesses.
I think I think that sounds logical, yeah.
Wow, I wish I didn't honestly know that, to tell you the truth, but that's a fact of life, I guess, right now. And then going with this utility taxes, We show a couple spikes on utility taxes. The 1.1, which breaks down to 800,000, is being put in restrictive utility taxes, right? Unrestricted utility fund, right? The 800,000 we just talked about today?
Yes.
Okay, but then we have a pretty big bump in the Prop 1 restricted. Is that just based off of additional revenue streams coming in?
Is that just,
For the Proposition 1 restricted?
yeah.
We had, the chart is actually going up quite a bit on that. That has nothing to do with this one-time hit. That is
correct.
actually just,
That's correct. It's just, it's a combination of volume and rate. So if the underlying volume goes up, we get more, and if their underlying rate goes up, we get more. So it's probably a little bit of both.
So if you
There could be some inflation in there.
gotcha. So if utilities raise their rates, because we
Yes.
get a percentage base,
Right.
our rates go up.
Yes.
Which means the population who pays it means their rates went up dramatically more. So they're, okay, so,
Now, that's a smaller scale, that's a $4 million scale, so it's, not as much money. But yes, you're exactly right.
all right. And then I'm looking at red light traffics, that's down almost 900,000.
Yes.
Which is great that people are driving safer, but that funds a large department, a large chunk of the police department right there.
Yes.
I like overtime's down, community centers, whatever. I guess my question is more for the council is, I appreciate your information and giving us the information, but my question more is for council is, at what point do we start looking at requiring some changes or requests? I know twice I've heard from the council to talk to the mayor about maybe slowing down filling open spots for positions, but in my conversation with them, they said they never heard it. So I'm concerned that if we do have questions or we do have concerns, that either someone's not hearing them or there's no action being taken on it. I leave in 2 months. I'll be on that side of the fence at that point, not a big deal, but at the same time, I don't want to leave my city in a potential issue. Now, I looked at the 2019s. 2019 had a negative $4 million, and at that point, we looked at, I think, 12 or 13 different revenue streams to see if we could help increase the volume of income to the city. But I have some real concerns, and I would like to know some feedback from council on their thoughts. Some of you guys have been around, and you know more than I do, and I appreciate your knowledge, and if you could pass that on to me, or at least give me some understanding of what your thoughts are, I would also appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. So I was going to ask about business licenses too. So is it possible that businesses are still existing in Federal Way, but just not paying their license fees?
It's possible, but I don't know.
So is there any check? So if a business doesn't pay their license fee, does the city go and try to find out what happened to that business?
I would have to connect with Keith Niven. We don't have a financial audit, but as far as the code enforcement side, I'm not sure.
Well, it would be interesting to find out
Yeah.
if a business has truly left, why, and if they're still here, why they haven't paid their license fees.
Can I make a comment on that? Having a business, if a business does not pay its license fees, then they receive notice from the state, and there is a substantial late fee with it. And then if you end up paying it late, it's just like with your car tabs. If your car tabs expire in June and you don't renew them until January, they're not good until the next January. They're good until that June. And so in the end, the business, if the business stays in business, it's not going to be able to stay in business long-term without paying its license fees. Short-term, yes, but long-term it won't. And with that long-term, it will have to make it up, and with substantial late fees.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
It's equally true that businesses could exist and not pay income tax or IRS. They could just do a cash-only business and do the under-the-table kind of thing.
Yeah,
So-
probably sales tax is one of the easiest things for a business to
Avoid.
to avoid if they're doing
Yeah.
cash type things, or
Yeah.
having a
Yeah.
second set of books.
It's illegal and you try to create deterrence and, yeah.
So my next question is on lodging tax. So next year FIFA is coming, this sport, the soccer. And I've heard that some cities are trying to figure out how they can maybe make some more money off of that, because we've been told that every hotel is going to be taken from here to there, from here to Canada. Are we talking about any potential special tax for that time period where people could possibly be here for that tournament?
I don't know that we can increase the tax rate. I mean, there you start getting into RCWs.
Well, maybe not the tax rate, but
Yeah.
fee that the city could have.
I did a table where I said if every hotel of our 765 rooms was full and we got our 1%, well, and it's $5,000 of lodging tax per weekend based on a $200 room rate. So it would have to be a rate increase of the room rate. That's the only thing that I can think of in my simple math brain. And that's not up to us, that's up to the private sector hoteliers. Yeah.
And they'll be raising their rates.
Yeah, and if you think about it, it's not very much, because we're at 66%, so it's only gonna go up 34% because we don't have any rooms. And, even if it goes to $200 a night instead of $140, we're talking like, I don't know what, less than $10,000 in
Every
revenue.
little bit helps.
Well, I know, I'm
So
not, I'm just,
not a headache.
Yeah.
I'm just
You know,
saying,
a-
it's
a
not
day
gonna,
used to-
it's not
a day
gonna make
used
or
to-
break us.
But
A
you
day,
should
our old finance director used to say, don't look for the huge amounts, look for the small amounts, because a lot of small amounts make a huge amount.
Yes, and we have $1 million fund balance, and do not spend $1 million to chase 10,000.
So my next question is on the red light photo revenue, which is down quite a bit, in my opinion. So why is there a theory as to why it's down so much?
There
Are
is.
drivers actually driving safer? Because I don't see that.
There is. I have talked to both the command staff and PD, and I've talked to Judge Larson and asked them both very delicately. I have said, I'm not looking for revenue. I want to make sure that, I want to budget intelligently if things have changed out in the real world. And they have both told me they are adjudicating all the red light cameras as they always have. There's nothing new in the judicial world or the legislative world. Nothing has changed. So that leaves us with, we have safer intersections, or people know that they are red light cameras and are being safer, which is what we want,
True.
and resulting in lower revenue. That's what we currently think. And the police chief is aware that the revenue is down, that supports some of his things.
So it supports quite a lot. A lieutenant, 13 police officers.
Yes.
So, plus other things. So how are we going to adjust this? And when are we going to adjust it?
I don't have the answer. I know that EJ has been involved with that discussion because we also consider safe intersections. I know that's something that the police chief and the EJ and probably the mayor and I don't have the answer because again, I try not to be telling them I need ticket revenue. I never, ever say that. It's about safety.
So it also pays for 6 city traffic positions. What are those positions?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I could have sent it in an email, I guess.
I was feeling so good that I had the answer to your revenue question.
So the last thing I'd like to say, and this is to Councilmember McDaniel, I appreciate how you have dug into the budget since you've been here. I was in a meeting last week with some King County Council members, and I think there were 7 mayors and myself and some Sound City staff, and we were discussing the potential 10-year 0.1% sales tax for transportation district that King County Council may vote on eventually, but at this point, they don't have it scheduled for a vote. And one of the mayors said that every city is talking about their budget issues, and every city is making cuts. And they all nodded. Everyone said, yes, that's correct. And we asked King County, what cuts are you making? and they said, well, if we get this, we don't have to make some cuts that we were thinking of making. So I would say that it is probably time that the council does have a good discussion. It's past time. And I know that you've brought it up, I brought it up, other council members have brought it up, but I do believe it's past time and we need to have a plan moving forward. And it's not that we're any different than any other city.
Yeah.
We got used to that ARPA money. And we are all paying, it was great to have it. It was great to be able to have things that we needed during ARPA because it was such a tremendously difficult time. But we got used to it. And now we have to go back to what life was before we had that money. And we're in maybe a little bit of a recession, whatever you want to call it, but things aren't as great as they could be. And we do need to have some hard discussions.
I'll give you 2 reminders, and and as you say that, I'm thinking of the police cars that we purchased that are going to create a replacement spike. But looking forward, one of the most important points in time a city council faces is when you pass a budget, and one of the hardest things to do is to pass a budget and not authorize spending of every single penny, to hold back and increase the increase some fund balances above those minimums. If you increase the fund balances above the minimums, then they're there to be used. And I believe Councilmember Dovey championed $200,000 for contingency this last year, and that's money that was left unobligated. So
No.
there's that $200,000. Just wanted to give you that.
And the last thing I would say from my point of view is, just because it's in the budget and just because we voted on it a year ago, doesn't mean we have to spend it. If a department comes to us and they say they have an agenda bill and they want something, and they say it's in the approved budget, as a council, we need to look at it and say, do we really need it now or can it wait? Just because it was in the approved budget, times are a little different now than they were a year ago. Can it wait? And we need to be thinking about those things.
Council President?
Thank you, Chair. So, good discussion all around. So, just to recap, on October 7th, you're going to have a public hearing, and you're going to discuss the mid-biennial budget adjustment, mid-year.
That's for this one. That's for this budget amendment.
For the
And there'll be
utility.
another, and then there'll be another later in the year.
Another later in the year for what?
For the statutory mid-year review that we need to do, I think it's November, December.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, so at what point are you going, as Councilmember Dovey has said, we are upside down, including the utility tax that we had included, almost 3 million. At what point are we going to start discussing the different issues or the different types of things we can do to backfill? For example, you could say to each department, only spend, cut 10%. I mean, I'm picking a number out of the sky. Cut, only for your, next year, you have to cut 10%. Tell me where you're going to cut that. Or we're not going to do this project. Or to give us some options we can choose, whether it's going to be, is it going to be at the time when you, not this public hearing, but the next public hearing? That you give us the options to look at.
I'm going to bring your feedback back to the city administrator and the mayor, because the answer is we have been. And when you look at the positives and the negatives, I think our revenue shortfall was $588,000, which you could argue our reserves cover, because I'm going to bring you a report on our financial audit that we just finished, where our fund balances from the prior year increased, and that gives us the vision.
We're all over the board on a lot of things. I just want a simple list that tells me 1, 2, 3, 4, pick what you want to do.
And that's going to need to come from the mayor or the city administrator.
And that should come through us.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will give them that feedback. Happy to.
I just have one more comment. I think Councilman Honda has to give the council a little bit more credit. We were fortunate we got ARPA, but that money was not run into operating. It was all for capital, where I believe, and as I remember it, so that actually makes our council, what we're decision-making, better than some of the cities that use some of that money for operating. So, yeah, we were fortunate to get 19 million or whatever it was, and some of it I think was spent before I even got here, because I know there were some things done, but I would compliment the council before I got on, and even this one here, for using it mostly for capital projects like cars and trucks and things like that, that we would not have now if we hadn't used it. But I do, as the council president says, I do think we need a special meeting coming up where we can just air it all out, and it's it's easy to set up here and make it sound worse than it is. But we're coming up to the end of the year, and as Councilmember McDaniel says, he's going to be gone, and our chair's not going to be here, and we have another election, so we don't know what's going on, but we should at least have a discussion about it, hopefully before November, I would think. But thank you.
We'll be having some new council members, and I'll be part of their orientation. I'll be happy to share everything I can possibly impart.
Yeah, but they won't know much.
Right.
Part of that's on you.
We've all been new. We don't know what we don't know.
That's true. Okay, funds is over. We need to vote. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll make the motion then. I move to forward the August 2025 monthly financial report to the October 7th, 2025 consent agenda for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
This matter passed 3-0. Thank you. All right, that's conclude our long FedRAC meeting ever, I think. 3 hours?
It was just for you.
Yeah, this is just for me. Thank you.
We did that in your honor.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so our next meeting is going to be October 28 at 5 p.m. in this room. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.